out-of-body experience.
Welcome to the Brothers of Wrestling podcast.
Welcome back to the Brothers of Wrestling podcast with your host Logan and
Hayden.
And we have a very special episode for you guys today. With the retirement of the GOAT, the never seen 17, John Cena, happening right around this time. This episode should be going up either the day of his retirement or maybe the day before. I haven't fully decided yet, but around his retirement on December 13th. And we thought that it would be good to just kind of take some time and reflect and do a little retrospective on his career, because he's one of the greatest to ever do it, maybe the greatest, as he calls himself, to ever do it. So I thought it'd be fun to have Hayde go through his entire career, because not only is John Cena one of Hayde's favorite wrestlers, he also knows a lot about him, knows a lot of the history, knows a lot of the matches, a lot of the things that most people really wouldn't remember or know overall. So we are going to just go through and talk about some of the great things that John Cena's done in his 24-year career, whatever it is. So, Hayden, take it away.
Time. Okay, yes. John Cena, the GOAT, the champ. One of my favorites. He's on my Mount Rushmore for sure. Cena's had a crazy career. Pretty much done everything you can do in this business. Both on TV, behind the scenes, business-wise, Make-A-Wish, you name it, Cena's the GOAT of doing it for sports entertainment in general, not just WWE. But Cena, what I love about Cena is that no matter what kind of character he had, it was always entertaining. And Cena started out getting a development. He was kind of looking into, he did some football, did some bodybuilding, stuff like that. And then eventually kind of, found a gym where he found a few guys that were wrestlers, and they kind of got him in the door. And he got signed to WWE's developmental at the time, which was in OVW. And goes to OVW and has one of my, no one really talks about this part of Cena, but I love going back and watching old Prototype matches. Prototype, I thought, was such a cool gimmick. He was, basically the idea was that he was going to be the perfect human. He was what you aspired to be. And one of my favorite parts about that gimmick he had was the the rewind. He would give his promo, and then at the end he would go, "Oh, you'd rewind it, say it back, say it kind of backwards, like he was getting rewound like a VHS tape, and then say the promo again." Such an underrated thing to do. I thought that was amazing. I thought that's so. I don't know if it was his idea. If it was, I assume it was probably somebody in the back, probably Cornette. But that's just a genius thing that you just don't see anyone doing. Now, it probably wouldn't have worked on the mass stage on WWE. It probably got old pretty quick.
Yeah, it probably would have.
But such a little thing in a little company, I just always thought that was so cool. So sometimes going back to watch those, and you'll be reminiscent to talk about Cena in his OVW career if you don't talk about the OVW 4. He was part of one of the greatest developmental roster classes ever, with him, Randy Orton, Batista, and Brock Lesnar. And now, obviously, Brock Lesnar, at the time of coming out of there, was the star, but Cena definitely took over and became the superstar of that group, for sure. He was always, really, for Cena, played it. He was almost the fourth stringer in the beginning. Orton was the prodigy, Batista was the physical beast, and Brock Lesnar was just, I don't even know if he's human. The next big thing. So Cena was actually probably the fourth guy coming out of that big four, and then ended up having the greatest career out of all of them. So Cena gets moved up to the main roster. He has, which, again, for Cena, even when he's a nobody, he has some of the most iconic moments in WWE history. His ruthless aggression debut is probably one. It's on the list of greatest debuts ever.
Mhm.
Kurt Angle calling out the locker room, asking anybody if they have what it takes to take him on. And this is Kurt Angle 2002. You know, he's only been there a couple years, but he's made himself main event level. You know, Cena's not getting a debut against a lower mid card guy. Cena's going up against one of the best wrestlers in the company and gets the debut, has the iconic ruthless aggression line that at the time just looked super cheesy. But when you look back on it, it's so iconic that he had that line and
Yeah.
made his mark there.
That line really got
Has the
it really got the
oh
benefit
yes.
of 2020 hindsight
Yes,
because
and obviously it wouldn't have been what it is if Cena wouldn't have become what he
Mhm.
became. You know, it just would have been a little benchmark in history. But it's cool to look back on it after he becomes a megastar and be like, wow, he got really lucky because that was definitely maybe that was something that was probably at the moment not your best thing to do for a new guy, but it worked somehow. And but it was Cena that made it work. Cena made that ruthless aggression line. Anybody could have said that, but Cena really made it work for him. So he has the match with Angle. Angle beats him. Obviously, he wasn't going to beat Angle in his debut. They had the iconic moment backstage where he's walking backstage. Undertaker comes up to him, who's the champ at the time, and kind of gives him that like, "Good job, kid. That was pretty impressive. Go out there and show your stuff against one of the big time names in the
yeah,
company."
Taker did that for Jeff too.
Yeah, so he kind of got built up on that first appearance, but then quickly just cut down at the knees. He gets a kind of throwaway pay per view debut against Chris Jericho of Vengeance. It really doesn't do anything. Jericho, beats him, whatever. Doesn't matter. And then he really never gets into a good story. He kind of has some matches here and there with some people. He kind of becomes enhancement. Has a little feud with like Billy Kidman. Nothing that really put him on the map or anything. He had the classic whatever city he is in, he wore the sports
Yeah.
team's colors. It's always funny to go back and watch that. You almost could tell what city they're in based on what scene is wearing in those old videos.
And he would
My
take
favorites
that
when
into his word life stuff with the jerseys and stuff.
yeah. And my favorites when he comes out in LA and he's got like the yellow and purple on because it just looks so like it just did not fit what he
Mhm.
was trying to do. But yeah, once he becomes, gets that word life character, he wears the jerseys and does that thing, which he made him so unique compared to everyone else. Everyone comes out in the same shirt every week, and he was able to kind of do his own thing
You think they
and
made him
make
pay
him
for all
unique.
that?
I always wonder that when people do that. Like, does the company go out and buy stuff like that, and just go to like a thrift store? And back at that time, the thrift stores were big, so.
Yeah, and he had all these retro. He didn't have like current player jerseys
Yeah,
on.
yeah, no, it's like my favorite's the Patrick Ewing one he
Hmm.
wears. That's
He had a
iconic.
Patrick Ewing Magic jersey, didn't he?
Yes. I know. I always remember he wore the one NFL one. And I got to try to remember who the player was, but I think it was a Giants player when they were in New York one time. But yeah, I love the jerseys. Anyway, we're skipping a little
Sorry.
ahead. So, but so he's at the point where he's enhancement. He might go back down to OVW. He might get fired. He's not even sure what's going to
Hmm.
happen to him. And then just which seems to be a key underlying thing of Cena's career, a stroke of luck. He's on the bus, just hanging with the boys. They're singing, rapping in the back. He does a
Freestyling.
freestyle
Yep.
rap.
They're all freestyling.
Yeah, Stephanie McMahon just happens to hear him doing it. Who at the time is the SmackDown general manager? Just so happens to hear him doing it, and says you should take that to TV. So then we get one of my favorite things is the Halloween SmackDown, where Cena dresses up as Vanilla Ice, and it's just him at the party in the back, freestyle rapping on different people
Hmm.
throughout the night. And that really is what set that Word Life character up. So he debuts it there. He starts building on it. He ends up turning heel and taking it that way, which people never talk about. Everyone always talks about how Cena never was heel. He literally was heel for like a year and a half at the beginning of his career. And no one seems to ever bring that up ever.
Well,
When
it's
they
because they
talk
don't
about
think
it.
of Word Life as a heel.
It's like he was a super heel at that
Yeah, he
time.
made fun of Big Show's balls.
Yeah, smuggling plums. Great line. Great line. Um, so he kind of takes that in. He doesn't get on the WrestleMania 19 card. He has a little pre-show thing where he was supposed to have a freestyle rap off with I always forget the guy's name. Um, why am I blanking? Fabulous, I think. But Fabulous ended up not showing up, and so they had a cardboard cutout of Fabulous and a cardboard cutout of Jay-Z, and this is all in the pre-show. And he freestyle raps on both of them on the pre-show on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like his first little taste of WrestleMania, but nothing big. You know, you really can't even find that except like if you randomly find it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even they didn't even put it on like the WrestleMania 19 DVD or anything really. It's one of those kind of lost things if you know about Cena, you know about it, but if you don't, you never ever seen it before. Um, so he takes that, and then he gets thrown into a crazy tournament at Backlash. Kurt Angle gets hurt at the WrestleMania and is taking time off. Brock Lesnar's champion. They hold a tournament to find a new number one contender on SmackDown. And Cena somehow ends up winning this tournament and gets a match with Brock Lesnar at Backlash for the WWE Championship. His first real big feud.
And this is
He has
peak Brock
some,
Lesnar.
and this is right after he almost broke his
Yeah,
neck.
this is
Brock Lesnar.
thick neck Brock Lesnar.
Yes, we're talking like he's in his prime going right now, and it's hilarious how you look at that match and say what a disadvantage it was for Cena. And just a year prior to this, they were in the exact same place in OVW,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how fast Brock Lesnar rose through the WWE. Because 1 year ago they were in the exact same place. Now Brock Lesnar looks like he's like a megastar, and Cena's just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to think about it like that. So Cena has one of his best raps where he Lesnar not breaks his leg, but hurts his leg. He's in the wheelchair because he did the F5 onto the steel post outside. So Cena has the great line in the rap where he says the F you, and that's kind of where that all starts. Because he plays off the F5. So that's kind of where he starts getting that finisher going. So they have that match. You pretty much get squashed. I mean, it's not a squash match, but Lesnar, takes him out. And then the rest of 2003 for Cena is a lot of just turmoil. He has some feuds here and there. He has some matches. One of his better feuds is with Eddie Guerrero. He has the parking lot brawl.
Classic.
That's a great match to go back and watch if you're a Cena fan and an Eddie fan, really. Great match. That was one of his big spots. He has a match with Kurt Angle, No Mercy that year, but nothing really. Nothing. He's not. He's building his character up. He's not really even in the U.S. title phase. He's still kind of down, trying to build up his character. He's getting some big matches here and there. He has the match with Undertaker at Vengeance at the first ever SmackDown pay per view. Another one of my favorite raps where he pees on the grave in the graveyard. That's a great one. He has that match with Undertaker. They were really trying to put he wasn't winning any of these matches, but they were building him up to be a contender later down the line. I think it's Survivor Series he's on. I think Team Angle. I can't remember which team he's on. Team Angle um, gets eliminated. Um, then it kind of all starts leading to um, the Royal Rumble, which I believe, if I remember right, is the first time he's on the cover of a poster
Ooh.
is the 2004 Rumble. And he does pretty well in the match. Um, that's the match where he gets thrown out and he lands weird on his
Yeah,
knee.
yeah, that's classic.
And gets his knee hurt a little bit. But he had just turned face when he joined Team Angle at Survivor Series. So they're kind of starting to build him up as a favorite now, as a face character. So they were kind of doing that there. He hurt his knee. But he ends up getting put into the number one contender match at No Way Out against the Big Show and Kurt Angle, which Kurt Angle ended up winning to go face Eddie Guerrero. But that puts him into a feud with the Big Show, where then at WrestleMania 20, he goes in, which if I got one souvenir of Cena's, it would be the Word Life Nux
Mm,
from WrestleMania 20
yeah.
that are the United States Nux.
Mm.
Oh, those things are beautiful. Beautiful. Goes into that match with the Big Show. It's the first match on the card. It gets played up pretty big, and he shows the first sign of what's to come with Cena and that superhuman strength he has when he picks up the Big Show and gives him the FU after he hits him with the Nux.
Hmm.
That goes on. That soon will soon become a staple of what Cena is, and what his character ends up becoming with the superhuman strength that he has. So he ends up winning the U.S. title. This is a big time for him. They're kind of seems like they're starting to really give him a good push, but he never really gets a good feud. He kind of has feuds here and there. Rene Dupree, he has a few feuds where he's like fighting like three different guys. Kenzo Suzuki, all these kind of SmackDown had a lot of those kind of guys where they're kind of like not really any main eventers, but nobody that's really even like in the U.S. title range. Even they're just kind of throwing guys at Cena, but they're trying to build up his character. But he's not really getting a good feud. Then in comes Booker T,
Ooh,
who got traded to SmackDown in the draft for Triple H when he got drafted to SmackDown.
because he didn't want to work
So Booker
Tuesdays.
T, because he didn't want to work Tuesdays. So Booker T got traded back over to SmackDown, and eventually him and Cena get into a feud um, over the U.S. title, which Booker ends up taking the title from Cena, and then they have a best of 5 series where Cena ends up winning the title back from Booker, and at No Mercy. But that's when we go into one of my favorite storylines from the absurdity of it, and that's Carlito Caribbean Cool coming in, making his debut, and beating Cena as his debut match for the U.S. title. And he takes the U.S. title and he brings in his bodyguard Jesus.
Jesus.
And then they have the storyline in that series where like Cena was at a club and he gets stabbed,
Oh yeah.
and that's what takes Cena out for a while. And in reality, he had to leave for a little bit to start filming the Marine. But he, the storyline they use is that he got stabbed, and it's implied that it was Jesus the whole time, but they never specifically said that it was.
I forgot about that storyline where he got
Yes,
stabbed.
so that's how they got rid of Cena for a while, so he could do his stuff with the Marine. So then he returns at Survivor Series in the Survivor Series match, and then he comes back, beats Carlito on a SmackDown, and then he has the street fight with Jesus at Armageddon, and that kind of ends that feud. But yeah, one of the crazier storylines of Cena's career
Now,
when he gets taken out for being stabbed in a club.
when does he unveil the Spinner U.S. title? Are you getting into that?
Now the Spinner U.S. title comes in a little bit
Okay,
later.
okay.
He doesn't actually do that until I think the beginning of 2005. Just double checking here. I'm pretty sure that starts coming out. In the beginning of 2005 because it's after. I think it's after the feud with Carlito because Carlito doesn't have it.
I feel like I've seen a picture with him wearing it though.
I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head. Yeah, I think he debuts it right before he. Uh, yeah, because he loses the spinner belt to Orlando Jordan,
Okay.
and when he starts having the feud with JBL. Um, yeah, it's not giving me a time when he actually switched it. I'm trying to see if I can find the actual day. I don't think Carlito had it, if I remember right. Because I remember Carlito had the regular one when he was wearing it. But it was good. But what was nice about the U.S. spinner belt was it was a prototype for what would become the WWE one. But anyway, so he had the U.S. title back after he beat Carlito, and then he goes into Royal Rumble 2005, one of the most memorable Royal Rumbles ever, where they have the accidental double elimination. Him and Batista. They both eliminate each other at the same time on accident. Vince McMahon comes out, flips out,
Throwing his
runs to
jacket
the
on the
ring,
ground.
throws his jacket, runs to the ring, tears both his quads, sits in the ring. It's one of the weirdest, most surreal experiences
It's
ever.
like an out of body experience.
They play it off like nothing's
Yeah,
wrong,
he's just he's
and they
giving
just
orders on
start
the ground.
trying to tell him which one the winner is, and he just restarts the match, and then they carry him out of there. So then they restart the match, and basically Batista eliminates Cena, and there we go. You got Batista winning the Royal Rumble. Cena, oh so close, and you think, well, he's almost there. He's starting to get pushed, and then he goes on to No Way Out where he beats Kurt Angle in the number one contender match. Starts his feud with JBL and the Cabinet, and that's how Orlando Jordan ends up winning the U.S. spinner belt, which then they destroy in the trash can.
So Cena's the U.S. champ at that Rumble.
Yeah, he's the U.S. champ up until he loses to Jordan on the road to WrestleMania.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still the champ at that point. So he loses the belt. He goes into WrestleMania, not the main event. Batista's the main event with Triple H. I think he's the third to last match. I think they have a filler in between the two matches. I can't remember for sure. But has a decent match with JBL. Him and JBL don't ever really have a bad match ever, but and they're not two technical wrestlers. So it's more of a brawl match, which is there's nothing wrong with
It's a
those kind of
JBL match.
matches.
If you've ever seen a
Yeah,
JBL
yeah,
match,
yeah,
you've seen them all.
yes. Which you got to give JBL some credit. I mean, he's a brute. So
Thick.
he has a good style for a good street fight type deal. So they had the fight, they had the match, and Cena ends up uh, pulling off the big win, gets his first WWE Championship, and kind of has that uh, big time moment with the fans. One of those iconic images where he's in the crowd with the fans when he
Classic,
won
yeah.
the title. And you think, this guy's he could be a real big star. But in the WWE's frame of mind, Batista's the man.
Mm-hmm.
They just had him beat Triple H, which was your big time star. So Cena's looked at right now as the number 2 champion.
Which is weird because he holds the
in the
WWE title.
company. Which, yes, he's the WWE champion, but he's on SmackDown. SmackDown's a B show.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of go through this little period here. They have Cena ends up, he gets rid of the old WWE championship and brings in the spinner belt. He has one of the most insane matches you ever watch, where if you're a gory wrestling fan,
I know what you're talking.
watch 2005 Judgment Day,
That's a
I Quit
legendary.
match, JBL and Cena is one of the craziest matches I've ever seen. I've never seen someone bleed as much as Cena does in that
That's
match.
legendary.
He literally looks like he's just soaked in blood
Hmm.
at the end of it. And it has one of my favorite I Quit moments ever is when he has the like I think it's a piece of the car or something.
He's holding up
I
something
forget.
huge or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's got like it's either like the antlers from the front or from JBL's limo,
Hmm.
and JBL's standing like in front of the stage part, and he's gonna throw it at him, and JBL just quits. He's like, I quit, don't hurt me, don't
Because he's
hurt me.
crazy.
And then Cena just goes, all right, and just throws it at him anyway through that glass,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
JBL's out,
Like
and Cena
javelins
starts
at him.
celebrating. Yeah, it's crazy. I love that. I love that part. So Cena does that. You know, he's trying to prove himself, build himself up. And it comes time for the 2005 WWE draft. Now they did the draft weird in 2005. Every episode for a month, they did the draft for a month, and every episode of Raw and SmackDown, one guy would be drafted
That's weird.
and debut. So they kind of wanted to change it up from 2004. It's the only year they did this, but it obviously didn't go very well.
No, because it's stupid.
Um, so on the very first night of the draft, Raw has the very first pick, obviously, and it's you know, air quotes I'm doing random. So Jericho's doing the highlight reel, talking about I'm gonna have the first pick of the Raw's first pick of the draft come out, blah blah. Who is it? And boom, Cena.
And
And
he's got that Spirit of St. Louis jersey on.
he comes out, and man, the place freaks out. Cena, he has the thing with Jericho, and then Christian comes out trying to rap. I always love when Christian does stuff like that because
He's
he
so
just
bland.
yes, and that's what makes him so funny.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so he has that moment, and then they brawl and fight. And it's a big time for the company because, like I said, they're doing this draft for a month. So he's the very first pick at the beginning of the month.
Hmm.
So now everyone's thinking that Raw has two world champions. They have Cena and they have Batista, and SmackDown has nobody. So then SmackDown creates what they were going to call the SmackDown Championship.
Gross.
So they were going to have their own world title that they were going to make. They had a tournament and everything for it. So they had this tournament. In the middle of the month is Vengeance, which is a Raw pay-per-view. So they had the classic Heck in a Cell match with Triple H and Batista to end their feud. And then Cena actually defends his WWE Championship on that card. Not a lot of people remember that. Against Chris Jericho and Christian. So he beats them in a triple threat match. Batista wins his match to finish his feud. And then at the end of the month, on the SmackDown, the final SmackDown, they have one more pick left. Well, at the end of the tournament, JBL ends up winning the championship, ends up winning the tournament and gets to win the championship. Teddy Long comes out with one of the great mysteries that no one ever talks about is what was the SmackDown title going to look like?
Yeah.
Because he carries it around in the bag for that whole month.
Hmm.
And you never see it. You never see it. I don't even know if there's a real title. Because he comes out with the title. JBL is like, give me the title. I want the title. And Teddy Long says, sorry, buddy. You don't win the title anymore. And JBL's like, yes, playa. And JBL's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you can't win this title because we're not doing this title anymore. We have the world champion. And Batista comes out.
Well,
And it was like this whole like waste of time.
the thing
So then JBL just becomes the number one contender.
the thing that gets me is in kayfabe, SmackDown has the second pick that next time. Why wouldn't they just draft Batista? Like
Well,
why would they wait so long?
The idea was it was random. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Raw didn't pick Cena.
So they just didn't get lucky and didn't get Batista.
It was just like blah, 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 like when they do the thing on the board.
Yeah, and it goes through all the
it's like
pictures
all
and
the
stuff.
SmackDown
Yeah.
guys go through the thing, and it just happened to be Cena was the first pick. Now, obviously, we know
Yeah.
they did Cena on purpose. Blah blah blah. But I think at one point, I think Benoit gets drafted to SmackDown, and I know one of the draft picks is Christian because he goes from Raw right after he loses at that triple threat. He goes over to SmackDown, um, and I think Benoit. That's when Benoit goes over there after he was on Raw from winning the world title the last year. So he goes back to SmackDown, stays over there.
I bet the
But
SmackDown title would have been just like a belt with a fist on it in the front.
I would love it to be like the fist, but the fist is like just a big blue fist. Like the rest of the title is like gold, but that's just a big blue
Yeah,
fist.
yeah, that's probably what it looked like.
But that's one of the great mysteries of WWE that no one thinks about that like that. But it's like, what would that have looked like?
So Cena's on Raw as the WWE champion. Batista's
So now
on
Cena's
SmackDown.
on Raw, and this is where you start to get the feeling that the company's like,
This is our
maybe
guy.
Cena's the guy
Mm-hmm.
over Batista, because Batista, and to be fair to Batista, he had a little bit of an attitude problem at that point. He didn't like being on the road all the
He
time.
didn't have much of a personality back then.
No, and he wasn't like the best
Talker.
if not even talker. I'm talking more behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
He just was like, he was a lot harder to get along with than Cena was.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cena's like very like, I got ideas, blah blah blah. Batista's just like, whatever, just let's do it, let's get through it. And that got Batista in some trouble back then. And Cena was more like, hey, can you do this for us?
And
Cena's like, oh yeah, let's
and
go.
Cena's more reliable. Batista had
But
those injury problems for a while.
but they also were at
hamstrings and
two
quads and stuff.
different points of their life too.
Mm-hmm. Batista's a lot older.
Cena's single, younger, more willing to do a bunch of stuff, and Batista was married at that time. Older. I mean, Batista started in wrestling old.
Mm-hmm. He was like 30 something when he started.
Yes, he was late into he started wrestling late. So he's at a much different point in his career and life than Cena was. So I think the company started to realize Cena's a lot younger. Let's use that energy for the company. And then Batista can still be a world champion on SmackDown. We're not saying he's a bad world champion. He just wasn't the face of the company kind of guy. Which is nothing against Batista. I love Batista. But he just never could have that pop like John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of like Cena was the kind of guy that like if you start booing Cena, he thinks it's funny. And when that started happening to Batista, he started getting ticked off.
Yeah.
And that was just not a good ratio to have.
So when do we break out the military garb for Cena?
So Cena, and he already has started to transition from the Thugonomics in, I think it's in very early 2005 is when he switches to The Time Is Now. Because he releases the new album right around WrestleMania 21. And so he switches theme music. So that's when he starts transitioning from the rapper. Like he still did a bunch of rapping stuff with the character, but it wasn't like the gimmick. Every time he came out, he didn't rap.
Because when he gets drafted, his current music plays when he gets drafted. It's not the Word Life music.
No, yeah. Because he has the Time Is Now at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he had already switched that. So he's starting to go away from the rapping. He still does the jerseys and stuff like that. Once he goes to Raw, but they started to realize that the fans are really gravitating towards Cena, especially the younger fans.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed to stop having him wear jerseys all the time.
Because he can't sell those.
Now they had merch for him, but he was never wearing it. So it's hard for them to buy it if he's not going to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So they started to transition. Like towards the end of 2005 is when he starts to wear more like the traditional John Cena idea. Mm-hmm. He started to get shirts,
and some of those original Cena "My Time Is Now" shirts are just some of the best.
Yes, he like one of the first ones is when he has the shirt that says "The Champ is Here" with the arrow down to his title belt on.
That's legendary.
Like that's one of his first shirts he does. So he's on Raw now. He's kind of being placed into the face of the company, and they start to realize that they really need to build him into a main eventer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have a match with Jericho at SummerSlam to kind of help put him over, which I always love the correlation of Cena's career because you have at the beginning of his career, you have him debut against Angle, and then you give him his first pay-per-view match against Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Two solid wrestlers to kind of give him a good push. When they're just starting to build him as the face of the company, they give him Chris Jericho in his first real big-time match on SummerSlam. And then they give him a big-time, his first real feud, besides like JBL, with Kurt Angle to build him up and to show that he can hang with a wrestling machine.
Well, and
I always find that funny that they decided to do it that way.
Jericho's on his way out, right, for the first time?
Yeah, so the match at SummerSlam's a regular match. They wanted to build up Cena and they used Jericho to do it. Jericho kind of knew his time was up for now, and he was burnt out from wrestling. So then he can't believe he loses Cena, so he goes to Bischoff and does the whole Bischoff's mad at him because ever since Cena showed up on Raw at the draft,
Mm-hmm.
Bischoff doesn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
Bischoff doesn't like Cena. Cena doesn't listen to him. He does whatever he wants. He bucks authority. That's Cena's gimmick. So they do not mesh well. And so it goes in so that Bischoff is trying to take out Cena.
Yeah.
That's his whole goal now, is to get rid of Cena. And so he uses Jericho first. And so Jericho says, Bischoff's yelling at Jericho, and Jericho says, I can beat him. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. We'll put the careers on the line.
Whoa.
You're fired match. So on the Raw, they have a loser leaves match, whatever you call them. And Jericho ends up losing. And then he thinks Bischoff's going to come out and save him. And Bischoff comes out and just fires him straight there in the ring. And one of my favorite firings ever, because the security literally comes out and carries Jericho. Like a guy's got each arm, each leg, and they're carrying him out and he's crying.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, it's one of he's so good at making you feel for him. He's crying as they carry him out of the arena. So Cena gets through that feud, and then the next guy Bischoff sticks on John Cena is Kurt Angle. And now this is the kind of the new and improved Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle just got drafted over here in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
He had just at SummerSlam had the rematch against Shawn from the WrestleMania match. And then they have the I think they have the Iron Man match on Raw. I think that's on Raw.
Yeah, I think it's on Raw.
30-man Iron Man. And Angle's kind of transitioned his character into this wrestling machine gimmick.
Yeah, he's an animal.
Excuse me. Where he isn't even a human anymore. He's just a beast. A wrestling machine that doesn't care about you. He's super intense.
He's got the mouthpiece in. He's got the gold medal.
He's just super in it. He's like hardcore wrestler. And then he brings out he transitions from like his comedy talking. Like he was such a good talker. Like he kind of transitioned out of that and he brought in Daivari as his manager.
Oh, that's right.
They were trying to build the hate for
I forgot about that.
Bringing in Daivari, which is just a
Nobody
natural
liked
guy
Daivari.
to hate. No one ever liked Daivari. Well, and Daivari had just come off the Muhammad Hassan thing.
Oh, that's right.
So he was the manager of Hassan, but then they had the bombing thing happen, so Hassan got fired.
There's a crazy video where it's just a bunch of masked, like, presumably Arab men that run down, or they make you think that, and they run down to the ramp and the like Arabian music is playing. It's an insane video.
Well, they have the beatdown of the Undertaker.
That's probably where it happens.
Yeah, where they all come out and they're just all masked and they just beat the Undertaker.
Yeah, that's probably what
the Undertaker was fighting Muhammad Hassan at the time of the bombing thing.
Which is what a weird rivalry.
Well, because they were using the Undertaker to build his character.
Yeah.
And then he was actually supposed to go up against John Cena.
Mm-hmm. I remember
that was supposed to be the feud, was Hassan and Cena, and then Cena was going to become like the Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and then they had to fire
He's
him.
triumphing over the evil, like what Hogan did with the Slaughter stuff. It's kind of Cena becomes like the all-American guy.
Yeah,
like,
it was Hogan versus the Russians.
Everybody gets behind. Yeah, everybody gets behind Cena now because he's taken out the foreign enemy. Yeah. Anyway, it ends up where Hassan gets fired. They have to do the angle where Undertaker chokes things off the stage, and he lays there and is like got blood coming out of his head, and then you never see him again. He's gone. So they take Daivari from that because he's already hated, but he's not the problem, so they don't fire Daivari, and they put him with Angle, so Angle gets that instant heat where he basically turned his back on America. And then that's how they build that story from what they were going to do with Hassan into what they do with Angle and Cena, which in reality probably makes a better feud, and it makes it better for Cena to get that experience with Angle.
Yeah, well, Angle's just better than Muhammad Hassan anyway.
Yeah, obviously. So you get the Angle feud. They have some great matches. A couple good pay-per-view matches. He has the match at Unforgiven against Angle. Then they have the match at Taboo Tuesday, and Shawn's involved in that one. That's a good match. They have a match on Raw, which I always love, which Chris Masters, who had just recently debuted, he's in it's a triple threat for the title, but it's a submission match. And that's what Cena debuts the STFU. That's a great one because the whole point was Bischoff put him in this match
because the
master lock and the ankle lock, and there was no way he was going to win because he doesn't have a submission. And then he debuts the STFU in that match, taps out Masters. He has another match against Angle at Survivor Series where Daivari's the actual special ref, and then he ends up winning that match, and he's still the champ. So they were using this whole end of 2005 to really build him up. Then you go into 2006. He has the Elimination Chamber. He ends up surviving the Elimination Chamber. But then we have another one of the most iconic moments in WWE history with the first ever Money in the Bank cash in, and it just so happened to be on Cena. It always seems like Cena got involved in these big time legendary moments somehow, even if he's not the one that actually does it. So Edge cashes in and ends up beating Cena for the title. It doesn't really matter because then Cena comes back at the Royal Rumble and beats him for it in the rematch, which then leads to his feud with Triple H leading up to WrestleMania 22, which was kind of their like, hey, we're going to give you one of our biggest names. You're going to go into WrestleMania 22 against the game, and this is your chance to beat him, and you're going to solidify yourself as a main eventer. And so they give him Triple H. He ends up tapping Triple H out of WrestleMania, beating Triple H. He goes on. He had Backlash. He has the triple threat with Triple H and Edge and wins that match. He really doesn't have much else. The whole thing kind of was revolving around Edge in 2006, which is one of his greatest rivals. So he ends up getting challenged by RVD for One Night Stand, yes, legendary. It kind of makes Cena into what he will become in the future. It was like that first real adversity where he had to go into the lion's den of that ECW arena. And those guys are flipping him off, throwing his t-shirt back at him. And he has a great, that's one of my favorite John Cena matches against RVD.
I mean, there's a little sign that says, if Cena wins, we riot.
Yes.
And I think they would have.
and RVD has said in things, they probably would have.
They absolutely would have.
If he won that match, they probably would have. So it's a great match. I that's one of my go-to Cena matches. If you want to watch it, if you just want to sit down and watch a good Cena match, 06 One Night Stand, great. Watch that one. RVD. I always love a good RVD match anyway. He's so good. So you have Edge come out and take out Cena.
He's got the motorcycle helmet on.
Yeah, goes through the table. Paul Heyman makes the count for RVD to win the match. It's all a bunch of hoopla, which leads to Cena taking on the entire ECW roster,
Oh yeah.
which is when Cena really starts taking his character and more like every character needs that moment when they prove that they're not what's
Just
the
a
right
guy.
word for it? They're not just a, like a I don't know, but like they're not weak. They got to show that they can hit the next level. I
Hmm.
guess is what I'm trying to say, where they can flip the switch and become that aggressive and not just a nice baby facey type guy all the time. Like in that ECW rivalry with Sabu and the rest of the roster,
Hmm.
Cena hits that switch. He shows that he can handle taking going in these hardcore matches, doing the ECW style, and he comes out on top at the end of it. You know, he gets sucked into the feud with RVD and Edge, which then RVD ends up getting in trouble and leaving, and then Edge is champion. So then he goes back into the feud with Edge, where they do the big switcheroo, where in Boston Cena loses, but then in Toronto Edge
Yep.
loses. So you have Unforgiven '06 when Cena wins the title back. You have Edge taking out his dad, slapping his dad in his home,
Classic.
which one of the worst actors in the history of WWE is John Cena Sr. He's just horrible.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
And
I
like
love when Edge tells
what
that story.
they use is the best part of it. Like what they didn't use, I can't even imagine how bad it was. But because what they use isn't great. So he
at
slaps
at one
him.
point,
They
Edge gets
have the
tossed in the
match.
river.
They had the night where Cena throws him into the river. Edge legit gets sick from
Yeah, because
that
that was disgusting.
because it's disgusting. Um, so they had the match at Unforgiven, TLC, and this was Cena's big time moment where he like really just hit the Super Cena. He wins the match. They had Teddy Long waiting up there for nothing, and the thing watching Cena win the match. He's not coming to SmackDown. Sorry, Teddy. He's staying on Raw. He wins the title, and that starts one of the greatest title runs in my memory.
And I
I love the '06 to '07 Cena
and I
title
wanted to
run with
mention something. Uh, we people always think. I mean, Cena's got 17 titles. He had to have had these massively long reigns and everything. But if you go back and think of those early reigns, I mean, yeah, his first one's decently long, but
Mm-hmm.
he loses to Edge and then gets it right back. Then he goes through a little bit, loses it to RVD. Edge gets it, wins it back. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
flip flops it for a little bit there, and obviously
Yeah, he's
holds it for
definitely
a
got some flip
he
flops.
holds it for a while in 2007, obviously, but he
Mm-hmm.
Cena has a lot of couple month title reigns. That's why he's got 17.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's what happens to a lot of people. Um, you get those kind of when you get a lot of title reigns like that, you're
Hmm.
gonna have that
Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah.
once in a while. But the '06 Unforgiven to the '07 No Mercy, that title reign is what put him into the top echelon of WWE.
Yeah,
You get so many banger
yeah.
after
So
banger after banger
we start
matches.
the greatest year of all time according to you, 2007.
Yeah, I am. I can't help it. It's when I first started watching wrestling. It's a nostalgia thing for me, but 2007, especially from Royal Rumble until that Vengeance, especially, is got to be considered one of the greatest little periods in WWE history. It's so good. Everything's good. ECW is at the top of its game. Raw, SmackDown, the pay per views are great. There's so many classic moments. It's crazy. I just love it so much. And Cena's one of the main reasons why. But so Cena comes out of 2006. He finishes that feud with Edge. They have a steel cage match to finish the feud off, and then he gets end up put into one of the most unique things that happens, and it's the Champion of Champions little feud when he goes up against Booker T and the Big Show, and they had the champion to champions match at I think they still called it Taboo Tuesday in 2006. I gotta try to remember.
And for anybody,
no, it was Cyber Sunday.
If for anybody wondering, Big Show's the ECW champion. That's why he's part of it.
Yeah, Big Show's ECW.
Some people might forget that.
Cena's WWE and Booker T's World, and I think it did change to Cyber Sunday in 2006. And they have it where you voted for which title was going to be defended, and ended up being Booker's, and Booker ended up winning the match. But that leads to Cena having a feud with the Big Show. They have a Survivor Series tag team match. Then Batista needs help with Booker T and his court, or King Booker is at this point, I guess. So Batista calls in Cena to help. So it's Cena Batista against King Booker and Finlay. And then we lead into 2007. He has the random feud with Kevin Federline, which is actually why he loses the champions matches. It's because Kevin Federline cost him that match.
But all in the background, there's a Samoan bulldozer being built up in an undefeated manner.
Umaga's a beast, and he is getting built up to go up against Cena. And their New Year's Revolution match, not as great as the Royal Rumble match, but still a great match. But
just talk about the Royal Rumble match.
They had the match at New Year's Revolution. Cena ends up winning that match.
Undefeated streak.
Then they have one of the greatest last man standing matches I've ever watched in my life.
Just start gushing about it.
They demolish each other. It's so creative. They have a part where Cena takes I think Armando starts it.
Mm-hmm.
But then Cena takes the ring post off.
Yeah, Cena wouldn't start it. No.
And then wraps it around Umaga in the STF. Pulls on the ropes. Legit chokes Umaga out. Like he passes out in that. like Mike Chioda's talked about it. He passed out.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena knocks him out. He can't answer the 10. Cena wins the match. And that was like, they really cemented John Cena as he can take on any match, beat anybody. I mean, Umaga before that was untouchable as a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why some people give him the Super Cena name, because that's one of those times they thought he probably should have lost and let Umaga have a title run.
I mean, it might have been a good choice. You never know.
But great. And it was such a good lead into what ends up happening later in that night with Shawn and Undertaker having one of the greatest ends of a Royal Rumble ever. And Shawn getting eliminated. And then we have the Undertaker stalking the world champions, trying to figure out who he's going to pick for WrestleMania. He ends up picking Batista. So then that leads Shawn who happens to just had won the tag team titles with Cena at this point. The Raw before the Undertaker picks his opponent. So they're tag champs. Shawn ends up beating Ray to RKO for the number one contendership. They go on to WrestleMania. But first, they have to team up against Batista and his opponent at WrestleMania, The Undertaker, at No Way Out in a tag match. And Cena and Shawn Michaels end up winning that match because Batista betrays Undertaker. Then they have a rematch of that match on Raw. And in that match is when Shawn ends up betraying Cena and super kicking him. And they lose that match. So they go into WrestleMania. Shawn coming out to the DX music, amazing. And one of my favorite all-time outfits of Shawn Michaels is WrestleMania 23. He's got the red and white,
mm-hmm.
and then he has like the long-sleeved, what do you even call that? It's not even a blouse kind of thing. But it's just sleeves and then around your neck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know what you call it. He's
like
worn
it's
it for years.
Leather. Well, no, he didn't wear this one all the time.
No, but he's had stuff like that, like the chainmail one he's had before.
Yeah, but this one he has long sleeves.
Yeah,
and then he just has the neck hole.
No, I have no idea what you call it.
And then the rest of it's like dangling crosses. Oh, it's great. Anyway, and then Cena has his iconic entrance at WrestleMania 23 where he drives from the streets
Mm-hmm.
and then drives through the glass window. Cena beats Shawn there, and Shawn gave him a great match. That's actually, I think WWE, when they just did this last WrestleMania, they did their top 50 matches. I think that one hit, I think it was 43rd. Great match.
Respectable.
One of my all-time favorite matches. Like, I could watch that match over and over again. Cena really stepped up to fight Shawn in that match. Shawn put him over. Cena got his real big time moment, closing out WrestleMania. This was like one of the biggest WrestleManias ever, and I think for a long, long time, I don't know exactly how many years, but I think WrestleMania 23 had the record for most pay per view buys for a long time. I know it doesn't have it anymore,
Makes sense because I mean you had
but
Trump
it was
and
huge. It
McMahon
was
on
a
that
huge
Mania too,
show.
hair versus hair.
You had Trump McMahon, you had Batista Undertaker, you had one of the biggest Money in the Bank matches ever. Um, you had a ton of stuff at that WrestleMania. So they go from that WrestleMania. Cena's still champ. They go and have one of the greatest Fatal 4-Way matches I've ever seen in my life, and one of my favorite endings to a Fatal 4-Way match, where it turns into a finisher fest, and it's Cena, Shawn, Edge, and Randy Orton. Turns into a finisher fest, and then Cena ends up getting super kicked by Shawn, but he falls onto Randy Orton and gets the pin before Shawn can break it up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so creative. So they have that match. Then the next night on Raw, they have somebody has been taking out the people that were in the Fatal 4-Way match. So they randomly find Orton taken out. They randomly find Edge taken out. Then they find Shawn taken out. So Cena comes out and he's like, "This is crazy.
Yeah, and
If
Rikishi's
somebody's
nowhere
trying
to be
to,
found.
if someone who,
Rikishi,
yeah,
he
yeah,
did it for The
yeah,
Rock.
he's just driving over people in 2007.
That's what I said. He's nowhere to be found.
So Cena's freaking out. He's like, if somebody wants to get at me, come get me. And and to be honest, at this time, I was in wrestling, thinking, I had just started watching. I'm thinking this is all real. One of the scariest moments. I guess scary is not the right word, but one of the most like, oh crap moments for Cena in those early days for me was when he comes out and calls that guy out who's been taking everybody out, and that stupid like guitar-y Indian music plays, and the Great Khali comes out because at that point, Great Khali had such an aura. He had an Undertaker aura almost about him, where when you heard that music, you knew somebody was about to get taken out. And he comes out and just obliterates Cena. They have the match of Judgment Day where he taps him out with the STFU, but Khali's foot was under the ropes technically, and the ref didn't
Because
see
he's
it.
so tall, yeah.
Yeah, so they had the rematch at One Night Stand. It was Last Man Standing, and he FU's Khali off of like it was like a crane setup
Legendary.
thing, and FU's him off of there. Ends FU with Khali. Khali ends up at the draft getting drafted to SmackDown, which is one of my favorite draft moments ever because it's a match between Edge and Cena for the first pick of the draft, and Edge ends up beating Cena and is laughing while he's walking up the ramp, and then they make the pick, and it ends up being Khali, and then they go to Cena in the ring, and he just cracking up laughing at Edge, and Edge is freaking out on the ramp. Oh, it's such a good little moment there. So the draft kind of shakes things up. He ends up with everything in the draft happening. He ends up having a match at the Vengeance Night of Champions against five different opponents, or well, four different. It's a five-way match. Four different opponents. He ends up fighting King Booker, Lashley, Randy Orton, and Mick Foley, who had just come back because he wanted one more run with the title. Has that match. He ends up winning that match. Then he has one of my favorite matches with Bobby Lashley at the Great American Bash. Has that match, and then we're getting ready to transition into a feud that will carry on for a long time, and that's Randy Orton. And Randy Orton becomes the number one contender because Coachman makes him it at the end of a Raw. He takes out Cena with the RKO. They had the match at Summer, and this is Orton is finally starting to transition out of that kind of weird character he was in like Rated RKO, where he was kind of like the pretty boy kind of character, douchebaggy kind of character, and he was going more into the sadistic side. He had started doing the concussion DDT,
Love it.
took out Shawn, took out RVD with that. He had just brought in the punt. He had punted Mick Foley in that Vengeance match. He had took out Shawn and RVD with the punt.
Classic.
So he was just debuting this kind of where he's starting to transition into that Viper character he'll become later on. This is the kind of the beginning of that. So they had the match at SummerSlam. Cena ends up winning. Orton goes crazy, takes out Cena's dad with the punt. They have the match at Unforgiven. Cena's so ticked off about that he took out his dad that he gets DQ'd in that match. So they end up going to have a last man standing match at No Mercy. Well, the Raw before No Mercy, Cena's having a match with Mr. Kennedy. And in the match, watching it in retrospective, you can tell when it happens. He's going for kind of like his bulldog move he does, where he kind of like holds their head and throws them down. And he kind of tears his rotator cuff in the process. You can tell the rest of the match he's in pain. He's kind of holding his arm the whole time. And at the end of that match, they didn't know he was actually injured. They were doing an angle where Orton comes out anyway and like takes him out. He hits him with the RKO on the table. He beats the crap out of him. The commentary team's playing up that Cena might be really hurt. It just so happened that he actually did get hurt. It wasn't actually planned that he wasn't going to be able to wrestle in the match. It just so happened he actually did get hurt. So the next night on ECW, Vince McMahon comes out and says that Cena got injured. Randy Orton took him out. That's the storyline they use. And says that he's immediately stripped of the title. He's going to be gone for 6 to 12 months. So that ends, which is unfortunately such an anticlimactic way to end that great.
Yeah, it sucks for him.
Title reign. You know, he had so many good matches in that title reign, and it just get end like that. It didn't really get like those long title reigns are used to build up the winner of that. Like that title reign was going to end up building Randy Orton up. That was the point. And to see it end up like that just kind of really let the air out of the bag there. So Cena's gone now. He's taken time off. The first time he's really taken any time off, because even when he was like had time off before, you know, he did the Marine when he got stabbed. He did the Marine, you know, stuff. He never really had time since his debut where he took a time off before this. He'd kind of been going nonstop. So then we're transitioning now into 2008. You got the Royal Rumble. You got the Madison Square Garden. You have one of my favorite Rumble matches. It's a great one. You have some classic callbacks like from the year before where Shawn and Undertaker eliminate each other.
Well, they open it up instead of closing it. They open up the Rumble 1 and 2.
Exactly. They started up, so they're playing off of that too. You have Triple H who had just come back from his torn quad, his second torn quad. At that
like
2007 SummerSlam, he came back and he was the one that was feuding with Orton after Orton became champ after Cena was gone. And Orton feuded with Triple H and Shawn. So now Triple H is in the match. Batista's in this Rumble match. There's some heavy hitters in this Rumble match. It's pretty packed.
Umaga's in there because he got the red pants on.
Umaga's in there. I mean, you got some big time names in this Royal Rumble match.
Cody, I think Cody's in there.
Cody's in there. He tells one of the funniest stories about that match with the Undertaker. Um, so it comes up, and number 30 comes up, and that John Cena music hits, and it's one of
The
the
roof comes off.
loudest pops I've ever heard in my life. It's insane. The pop he gets on that night is crazy. And he comes out, he does that classic, the door opens, and he's
He's got
like
his arms
looking
crossed. Yeah.
down, and then he
And he
looks up, and
smiles.
he's like, "Yeah, it's me." And he comes out, and
And the camera pans to
he
Triple
has the
H.
match, and Triple H is stunned because it was a surprise from everybody. No one knew he was
Mhm.
returning. I mean, that was only, No Mercy was probably in October, so that was October to January. They
And it's a
said he was
rotator
going to be
cuff.
gone. They say he was going to be gone 6 to 12 months, and
And this
he's
is
back in
yeah,
January.
this is where you get the bionic Cena, the super Cena, all this kind of stuff.
He has talked about in later interviews that he basically became like a Terminator in trying to fix his rotator cuff. Like he was doing physical therapy like 4 times a day, like just trying to get ready, and he was going insane with it. So he comes back in the Rumble match. Another classic Royal Rumble moment is when it's him, Batista, Triple H. I think Cena does it first. He does the "You Can't See Me" to both of them. Batista does the thumbs down, and then Triple H does the "suck it," and then they all fight. And then Cena ends up beating Triple H to win the Rumble. And at the end, he does the classic, points at his arm, and then he does the "okay"
Hmm.
and all that stuff, which he's talked about before. He had no idea if he was okay or not. Like he was just going in and hoping for the best. It could have been a Shane McMahon at WrestleMania moment,
Oh God, not that.
but but it worked out. It worked. Now he goes on to No Way Out and does one of the stupidest things when he cashes in his WrestleMania match at No Way Out because he couldn't wait for WrestleMania,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
and so he has faces Orton at No Way Out, and Orton does the
He slaps him, slaps the
attack the
ref.
slaps the ref and gets DQ'd on
I forgot
purpose
about that. Yeah.
to ruin Cena's chance to win the title.
That's such a that's an underrated way to win a match for a heel to keep a title.
I know they don't use it enough. Just slap the ref. That's what I say. But so they do that. So Cena gets screwed. Triple H ends up winning the Elimination Chamber to go on to be the number one contender for Orton's title. But Cena kind of convinces Triple H to give him a chance to get entered back into the match. Cena ends up winning the match to go into the to WrestleMania, so it becomes a triple threat. Cena comes out with the band because that one's in Orlando.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He comes out with the Orlando band that plays the song out. That one's a pretty cool entrance. He debuts. I don't know if he debuts at that WrestleMania or it's around that time he starts wearing the orange or black
I think he has something
outfit.
similar at the Rumble.
So he might have debuted at the Rumble. I can't remember because at the Rumble is when he starts transitioning away from the Army,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the camo and the green pants.
I think it's at
He
the
goes
Rumble when
back to
yeah.
he goes back to the jorts
I had one of those
because
hats.
during that run he kind of was in that 06, 07. He was kind of wearing like the green,
Yeah, green camo cargo pants basically.
yeah, and he went back to the jorts. So had the match, he loses. He goes on to Backlash. I think JBL gets involved. It's a fatal 4-way, and he loses. He goes on to have a feud with JBL. Ends in the parking lot brawl, the New York City parking lot brawl. That's a good match. I always like that one. Um, and then he kind of gets put into a feud with Batista because Batista gets drafted, or does he get drafted, or does he come back to Raw? Either way, he gets put on Raw now, and so they start building up to SummerSlam in a first time ever match. And on that build up, Batista and Cena actually end up winning the World Tag Team Championships, which is usually how Cena wins the World Tag Team Championships with someone he's feuding with. by beating Legacy, and they end up losing the next week. They only hold it for 1 week. Um, so they go on to SummerSlam, first time ever, one of the biggest matches on that card. Cena had just started doing this new move where he does the leg drop off the top rope. That's supposed to lead into the STFU. He tries to pull that move out. Batista catches him in the Batista bomb, hits the Batista bomb, and Cena herniates a few discs in his neck.
Yeah, I remember that was an ugly landing. I remember that.
And he finishes the match, and I can't remember if he wins or loses that match. It doesn't really matter at the time. But they're not sure how bad he's hurt. So he's actually, so one of the funnier things is the next pay-per-view at Unforgiven, they actually talk about how they're debuting the Championship Scramble, if you remember what that is.
Yeah, yep.
The Championship Scramble was like a time limit of a match where whoever had the last pin in the match was the champion.
It's kind of like for people listening, it's kind of like the Iron Survivor in NXT, where they instead of like points, it's like they fight for the championship in the scramble. But in NXT Iron Survivor, they fight for points, and whoever has the most points at the end wins.
Yeah, same idea. So he actually, when they first introduced the match and introduced the participants, he's in the match. But then they find out that it's too bad and he has to have surgery on his neck. And so he ends up getting scrapped from that match. So he's gone again. They end up, instead of it being a surprise this time, they end up on Raw they are going to have Survivor Series in Boston that year. And so Cena ends up getting healthy enough that he's going to be in that match, or he's going to be at that Survivor Series. So they start building up the promos of what he's going to do, and they end up having him return and face the world champion in Chris Jericho, who had actually won it in the scramble match. John Cena couldn't be in.
Mm-hmm.
So Cena ends up returning that night, taking on Chris Jericho, and he beats Chris Jericho for the world title. Now this is the world heavyweight title, the big gold belt. The two titles, the WWE and the world heavyweight, they got switched in their draft that year. So now the world heavyweight's on Raw, the WWE's on SmackDown.
Yeah, and Triple H finally wants to work SmackDown.
And Triple H is on SmackDown for that little while. So John Cena comes back, wins the title. He has a rematch against Jericho at Armageddon. He goes into the Rumble. He ends up going into the Chamber as champion. Oh, he fights JBL. That's right. Because JBL had hired Shawn Michaels to be his enforcer. Because one of the dumbest storylines in history of everything is Shawn Michaels somehow lost all his money. And so then JBL was going to give him money, but in turn, Shawn Michaels had to sell his soul to JBL and be his enforcer.
Classic.
Stupidest storyline. Which, to be fair, that storyline leads into one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history, but still stupid. So JBL ends up getting the match against John Cena, and Shawn Michaels was supposed to be the key to JBL beating Cena for the title, which Shawn ends up super kicking Cena, but then also super kicking JBL. And then Cena ends up beating JBL. That's right. So then Cena goes on to the Elimination Chamber at No Way Out. 2009 No Way Out is one of those crazy pay-per-views that everybody remembers for just the one big-time thing that happened. Do you remember what happened at that one?
No.
That 2009 No Way Out starts with the WWE Championship.
Oh, right.
And Edge is defending.
Yeah, okay, I remember. Yeah.
And Edge is one of the first two with Jeff Hardy. And he goes for the spear early and gets rolled up and pinned.
Okay, I remember.
And then has a mental breakdown in the match and leaves crying like it looks like he has lost his mind.
It's the classic
Crying.
Edge breakdown. Yeah.
Yes. So he leaves, and you don't think anything of it. Triple H ends up winning the match. He wins the WWE Championship. Main event comes is the World Heavyweight Championship. Now you have John Cena defending, and all the participants are coming out, and Kofi Kingston's coming out, and Edge out of nowhere just takes out Kofi, rams his head against the steps, and then hides inside one of the pods and locks himself in there.
As if it's not a clear pod, you can't see him.
Yeah, he's like hiding in there, keeping it locked so no one can get in to get him out. All that. So they end up starting the match with Edge taking Kofi Kingston's spot. Well, the match goes on and on and on, and then Edge ends up actually winning the match. I think Ray actually ends up hitting a 619 on Cena, and then Edge spears him. And so then Edge ends up winning the world title. So one of the funniest moments, one of the lead ups to a WrestleMania, is the love. I wouldn't call it a triangle, but Cena just happens to be involved. I guess it's a love triangle between Big Show, Vicky, and Edge. Which Edge and Vicky technically got married earlier on
Classic.
in 2008. And so now we find out Cena gets the videotape that she's been kind of seeing Big Show on the side. Vicky got around, I'll tell you that. And so that ends up going on to WrestleMania where they have a triple threat for the world title.
Who exposes Edge with Alicia?
That's at the wedding. That's
Oh,
Triple
okay.
H.
Okay. I knew
Triple
somebody
H,
did that.
because Triple H is the king of crashing weddings. He always has some videotape to play for some reason. So yeah, so they have that, and one of my favorite lines of that is when they talk about the winner's going to get the World Heavyweight Championship at Vicky Guerrero's heart, and they're like, well, maybe Cena doesn't really want that. So Cena ends up winning the WrestleMania 25, and then they have the Backlash. Edge is done with Cena, and so they have their last man standing match. And it looks like Cena's going to end up winning that match, but the Big Show comes out. And one of the crazier spots Cena's ever done in his career is he gets chokeslammed into the stage light.
Oh yeah.
And sits in it and explodes around, explodes around him and
Amazing.
He can't get up. Loses last man standing match. That leads to a feud with the Big Show. He beats Big Show Judgment Day. I think they have a submission match at Extreme Rules. I think they have a submission match at
What's
Extreme
submission
Rules.
Big Show now?
Well, that was when he was doing that weird. I don't even know how you. The guy's laying on his belly, and Big Show grabs him around the neck, kind of like the STFU, but he's on the side, and it's just that.
Oh, okay.
You remember that?
Kind of.
Where he's just cranking on the guy, his neck. Yeah, it was that. It was that kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm sure I gave it some creative name when I was doing it back in the old days, when I used to draw all my wrestlers and give them their finisher names. So they have the match. Then Cena kind of goes away for a little bit. He's not on TV after that match, but he keeps getting called out by this up and comer, The Miz. This is when Miz is doing I challenge Cena to a match. He's beat him 6 times in a row, all by countouts. And then they end up, Cena finally acknowledges him, and they have a match at the Bash where Cena beats him in 3 minutes and smokes him.
Makes sense.
So that leads Cena into one of probably his best runs of matches that I can remember. And he has the match against Orton at SummerSlam for the title. And I think he loses that one. It's such a whirlwind. I think he loses the one at SummerSlam. They have the classic I Quit match where he wins.
Love
he never
it.
loses an I Quit match.
That's a good match.
Wins.
Like that match.
Oh, that's a great match. When he's got the key and Orton's got handcuffed and he can't reach the key.
Well,
Oh,
Orton
great
like
stretch.
dangles the key in front of him, doesn't he? When he's
Yeah.
when he handcuffs Cena.
Well, yeah, he dangles it earlier, but then when Cena has it, and he's trying to reach for it and he can't reach it. Good stuff. So then they had the I Quit match. Then they had the Heck in a Cell match where Orton ends up winning and taking the title. And then they do the bragging rights, anything goes 60-minute Iron Man match. And that is a great, if you like Orton and Cena, that's a great match to watch.
And this, kids, is how you get to 17 world titles.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they were going back and forth, winning titles, losing titles the next month. It was crazy. But they were just showing you how evenly matched those two guys were.
Yeah.
So they go on to do that. He finishes the bragging rights. He wins that match. Orton's done. He can't come back. Orton ends up going on to have a feud with Batista and then eventually Kofi, where he calls him stupid. Cena goes on to have one of my favorite matches ever at Survivor Series that year against DX when it's the triple threat match. So they had the triple threat DX match where Shawn super kicks Triple H right at the beginning of the match. Cena's face when he's just like, "What? What happened?"
Yeah, and before that, you get the backstage segment where they're all three talking, and Cena's like, "I beat you, you beat me, he beat you, we all beat each other."
Yep. And then his future girlfriend standing right there.
Yeah, the Bella
Nikki
Twins. Yeah.
Bella. The Bella Twins are right there. And also, they have the classic match because the other Survivor Series match for the world title was Undertaker versus Jericho. And so they have the awesome Madison Square Garden match where it's Undertaker and John Cena against DX against Jericho.
Oh,
I
right.
love that match. That's one of my favorite matches. So good. That just if you watch that Raw, that Madison Square Garden Raw is epic all the way around. So many good things happen at that show. So he wins that match. He goes on to Armageddon, or what? No, actually, 2009 is the first year of TLC. That's right,
TLC.
because they have the breakout battle royal. So it was only people that had never been a world champion, and Sheamus ends up winning that. So Sheamus wins the battle royal to go fight Cena at TLC in a tables match, and we all know how that goes. With the accidental slip off into the table, where Sheamus ends up winning the title and becoming WWE champion when no one saw coming. Even the announcers were kind of like,
Oopsie daisy.
Okay, champion. So then Cena enters the Rumble. He doesn't win the Rumble. I think he gets. I think he's in the. He's in the Elimination Chamber because he ends up winning the Chamber and the title. And then after the Chamber's over, Batista comes out, and Vince McMahon lets Batista have a match with him.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Batista obliterated. This is when Batista's going to his cold character phase, where he had destroyed Rey Mysterio.
He gets the
and all
spotlight.
that stuff. Yeah, he does a spotlight gimmick, and he destroys Cena after the Elimination Chamber and takes the title, which then leads you into Cena Batista WrestleMania match. Cena ends up beating Batista at WrestleMania. They have the Last Man Standing match. Then they have the I Quit match, which ends up being actually an I Quit match because Batista ends up quitting the next night on Raw. Which then leads to that. I think it's that same exact night. Cena's having a match with CM Punk, and the iconic entrance of the Nexus comes. Nexus obliterates everybody, takes out everybody, takes out Cena,
Justin Roberts,
Cole, King, CM Punk,
the
Gallows, the Ring, everybody. So Nexus debuts. He ends up going on to defend the title. I think it's at Fatal 4-Way, and I think that Sheamus ends up winning that one because the Nexus cost him the match. Then he has a match with Steel Cage match with Sheamus. Nexus cost him that match. that leads to the big 7-on-7 Nexus versus WWE SummerSlam match, which is super controversial.
With randomly Bret Hart.
With Bret Hart, well, he was the GM.
I know. It's
It
just funny.
wasn't random.
It's just funny to think of old man Bret Hart in that match
That's Bret Hart's last
with
match.
his jeans and his elbow pads.
Let him be. He tried his best. Um, he was the GM, and the Nexus took him out. And so he ends up joining the match. Edge and Jericho end up joining Cena. R-Truth, Morrison, and
Oh,
then
what a formidable force.
it was supposed to be Great Khali, but the Nexus took out Khali, so they ended up bringing in Daniel Bryan, who got fired after the debut of the Nexus. So Daniel Bryan comes back in, and it's super controversial because the Nexus probably should have won it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where everyone started using the Super Cena because he was down like 3-1 and ends up winning that match.
Yeah, pretty rough. Yep.
And it just didn't make a lot of sense, really. No one really thought so, but Cena thought it
You
did.
got this hot faction and then dead.
So, but it is what it is. So Cena wins the match. He kind of has a rough end of the year. He has the match with Wade Barrett where he ends up losing, and then he has to join Nexus. He has to help them in matches. He ends up winning the tag titles and bragging rights with David Otunga, Nexus. Um, at Survivor Series, it's Barrett versus Orton for the title, and Cena's like the special ref. But he ends up if Barrett doesn't win the title, he gets fired. So he ends up turning on Barrett and technically getting fired. Then on the live event, that's when Juan Cena debuts on the live events.
Juan
He
Cena.
wears the mask that's the same color as his shirt because that's when he's purple. He's wearing his purple shirt.
Pretty Pebbles.
And he wears the mask that's the same color, and so he wrestles as
Oh, I
Juan
wonder who it
Cena.
could be.
No, it was like Mr. America. You don't know
Oh,
who
well,
it
we still don't
is.
know who that was.
You don't know who that is, brother. So, uh, so then Cena on one of the Raws backstage keeps taking out each member of Nexus until Wade Barrett finally agrees to hire him back. They have the chair match at TLC where Cena literally buries Wade Barrett's career
Amazing. He pulls all
under
the chairs
chairs,
down. Classic.
pulls all the chairs down on top of it,
Such a
buries.
cool visual.
It's an iconic, a legit I buried you.
Yeah, poor
kind of
Wade.
moment. He is buried, literally. So you have that match. We get into 2011. I think he's in the Rumble match, but he doesn't do anything. He ends up winning the Elimination Chamber to go on to be the number one contender. Then we find out the most electrifying man in sports entertainment is coming back to be the host of WrestleMania that year. And he kind of gets into a thing with Cena. And then in the match with The Miz, The Miz gets concussed. He doesn't even remember that match. When he gets taken out over when they go out, fall out to the floor
Mm-hmm.
over the barricade. And, but then they have a point where they have to restart the match. Rock comes out, and then Rock kind of takes out Cena so Miz can win. So the next night on Raw, Cena calls out The Rock. They have a back and forth, and they agree to have the once in a lifetime WrestleMania 28 match. So basically, everything in 2011 for Cena's leading up to once in a lifetime. He ends up winning the title in the Extreme Rules triple threat steel cage against Morrison and Miz. Has the I Quit match against Miz and Alex Riley the next pay per view. I think that one was over the limit. They started to change them at this point. It's hard for me to remember
Yeah.
what's what. I do remember 2011 though. The only capital punishment pay per view ever. He fights R-Truth
Classic.
because that's when R-Truth went crazy and turned heel on Little
Smokes a
Jimmy.
cigarette.
And he did smoke a cigarette, yes, just like Jeff Hardy. Um, I'm trying to remember where that goes. Capital Punishment. Then he goes on. I think the next one's the iconic Money in the Bank. Is the one after that with CM Punk. CM Punk does the
Summer of
pipe
Punk.
bomb. Does the pipe bomb after Cena gets put through the table. Does the pipe bomb promo. They end up having the whole thing where it's if Cena says he can get it done, Punk says he's gonna leave with the title. Vince tells Cena that if he doesn't get it done, he's fired. Um, it's a great match. Punk and Cena always have great matches.
You know, for Cena being the golden boy, Vince always wants to fire him.
Yeah, they had that one of those love hate things. But one of the things that I always hated about Cena is that he got threatened a lot with being fired, and he knew he was never getting fired.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, why do we keep threatening this one guy that he's gonna get fired all the time? Like he's never gonna get fired. It didn't make any sense.
No.
So, but I think for that specific match, you're putting him in that spot because
If he loses, Punk takes the title.
you're trying to put every single thing in the fans' eyes against Punk winning.
Yeah.
Like if Cena loses, he's getting fired. Well, no way Cena's gonna lose. You know, if
Yeah,
Punk
'cause
wins, he's taking the title.
Punk said
no
he's
way,
leaving with the title.
no way Punk's actually going to take the title. So you're putting that doubt into people's heads that Punk can actually win. So that when he ends up actually winning the match, you freak out and
Mhm.
you
And he
gain
blows
that kind
he's
of
on the
excitement.
barricade and he blows the kiss and
He blows a kiss. Vince tried to do a screw job on him and Cena stopped the screw job. He attacked Johnny Laurinaitis
oh,
from
good old Johnny.
trying to do the screw job move. And so Punk leaves with the title. Next on a Raw, Cena gets fired. He's getting ready to leave the ring when Triple H comes out. Triple H basically tells Vince that you need to go to an old folks' home. You're losing your mind. Cena's not fired. Cena's gonna come back. They have that little tournament um, for the new WWE Championship, which they in retroactively called the interim WWE Championship. That Rey Mysterio actually wins. He beats
Oh,
the
poor
Miz.
Ray.
But then that same night they have Cena versus Rey Mysterio, and Cena ends up beating Rey.
It ends up becoming an iconic meme where
Yes.
Ray's celebrating backstage. He's getting like the water poured on him and everything, and then he runs into Cena. And then it leads to Cena beating him that same night.
Yep,
Oh,
exactly.
poor Ray.
Yeah, Rey kind of got screwed in that whole deal. So that leads to the unification match at SummerSlam. Cena loses to Punk, but then Punk gets screwed by Triple H. That's where Triple H kind of does his heel turn. That's not a heel turn. It's a weird thing there because Kevin Nash comes out after the match and takes out Punk,
Oh,
and then
Kevin Nash.
Alberto cashes in, and like it was supposed to be a thing for Kevin Nash to get back, and then he just could never get cleared, and it ruined the whole.
He had bad knees.
Yeah, it ruined the whole storyline, and then ended up having to be Triple H that took on Punk, and so then Alberto's champ, which leads to the fall of title flops because Alberto ends up losing to Cena, I think at Night Champions, and then he wins it back at Heck in a Cell, and then Alberto ends up losing it at Survivor Series to Punk. So it's a bunch of title flipping and flopping.
As much as I think Ryback's a dork and a loser, I think they should have pulled the trigger on him and gave him the title one time.
Yeah, I mean, it would. They had to have done it when he was hot.
Yeah, but he was one of the hottest guys in the company at that point.
Yeah, but well, not yet. You're a year ahead.
Oh,
You're a
okay,
year ahead
okay.
of me.
I
He's
was
at
just thinking about
Ryback's not
Ryback.
doing
Sorry.
anything. The meathead, you bring in the meathead early. The Punk. So this is what starts Punk's run of a year long reign, over a year long reign.
Yeah, 433, I think is what it is.
So uh Cena ends up going on and uh he's getting ready to kind of get. They're trying to find something for him to do because The Rock's coming up, so you got to have something for him to do in between, and that's when they bring back Kane in his new
Oh,
gimmick
uh,
with the like the fire mask thing on, the welding mask.
yeah, it was all right.
He used the big glove with he had like it was like to knock you out, that choke he was doing over your
Hmm.
face. So they have a match at Royal Rumble. They have I think a last man standing match on Raw, and then they have the ambulance match that Cena ends up winning. Um, so then he goes in the feud with The Rock, which that lead up to WrestleMania is some of the best promos by both guys. Cena brings back the Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick for one night. Rock brings back the Rock concert. Rock does the Fruity Pebbles
Yeah,
thing.
that's legendary.
Cena calls out Rock for having his notes written on his arm,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
which then that's what caused some real life heat between the two of them, like where they really hated each other.
you don't call somebody out
Um,
for that.
at Survivor, I forgot to mention at Survivor Series that year, where Punk won, Cena actually teamed up with The Rock in the Never Before, Never Again
Oh, that's
match
right. Against
against
Truth and
Awesome
Miz.
Truth.
Yeah.
That was kind of to give Rock a warm up match, so that we could see how if he was feeling good, ready for WrestleMania. Um, so they have that match, and then so they go on. He has the cane. He does the promos with The Rock. They have the once in a lifetime. Cena this whole time is saying, "I have to win this match. I can't lose this match." So they go and have the match. He ends up losing. And so like I always wonder because we're UFC fans too. You get these guys that talk and talk and talk and say they can't lose and then they lose. Where do you go after that?
Hmm.
And Cena was in that position. And there was I know Cena said certain times where he thought he might be done with WWE at that point.
Yeah. Well, there's that
Like he
iconic shot of him on the ramp, sitting on the ramp, which
yeah,
they recreated with Cody at 39.
yeah, the sad Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cena legit thought maybe it's time for me to be done. Like, where am I going to go after this? I put all my heart and soul into this, and I lose. Where is my career going to go? Do I have any options to do? And so he calls out The Rock the next night on Raw. He just say, "Congratulations, you're the better man." And instead of getting The Rock, he gets Brock.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And one of the most epic moments
One letter.
in Raw history when wow, what is it, 2004 to 2012, so 8 years.
Yeah.
uh Brock Lesnar comes back.
He had a whole UFC
that
career in that time.
that music hits. Cena does the classic when the fans freak out, he looks into the crowd, does that classic look like, oh. Brock gets the big pop. Brock gets in the ring, they handshake, and then he hits him with the F5, which I always one of my funniest F5s because Cena's got his hat on.
That's
And
right.
when he hits, the hat just kind of hits the bill hits, and it flies off. It's so
And at
funny
this
to
point,
watch.
we were watching every week live,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
we
We're
we we
hardcore
didn't really
idiots.
know about Brock. We knew about him because we went back and did our homework and stuff. But
Yeah,
that was the
yeah,
first time we got to see Brock live. Like,
yeah. That was our first introduction into Brock live in that sense, and we had went back and like watched some old stuff of Brock.
yeah,
We
we knew
watched,
about him. Yeah,
just, but we knew him more from UFC at that time
true. That is true.
because we were watching him in UFC at that same time, because we had got into that uh, on the side anyway. It wasn't
Mhm.
because of Brock, but we had gotten into UFC on the side anyway. And then that's when he was doing his heavyweight title run in UFC. So we knew of Brock more from that than WWE anyway.
Yeah.
And then he came back and then, he brought in that MMA gimmick with him that really worked. It's what he's been using ever since. Um, since he came back in 2012, he's been using that MMA style
Yeah, might as well. Yeah,
gimmick. I mean, it works for him. So
you're not gonna bring back the next big thing.
no, I mean, yeah, and I mean it just fit at the time period and everything. But so Brock's back. They end up having a match at Extreme Rules, which once again it's one of those moments where people say Super Cena took over, and he ends up winning that match for no
Yeah.
reason. Brock came back.
Another questionable decision.
But it's one of those things where, like, I think they were afraid that if you have Cena lose to Rock and then he loses to Brock, maybe, I mean, is he done? Like, it's one of those things where it's like they're probably afraid to put him down that far. I don't think it would have hurt him. He was in that echelon where it doesn't really matter how many times you lose anymore. You're pretty safe from falling down the hole. So after the Brock stuff, he ends up getting into a feud with Laurinaitis, the GM, John Laurinaitis, because he's tired of him trying to take over because at WrestleMania he ended up winning the GM of both Raw and SmackDown with that like giant, I think it was like a 7 or 8 man tag, him and Teddy Long. So he's in charge of everything. So he's annoying Cena. Cena wants him gone. Laurinaitis ended up getting his hitman, The Big Show. So they have a match at No Way Out in a steel cage. If Cena wins, Laurinaitis is fired. Cena ends up winning.
That's when we get the weapon of mass destruction, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, what, the punch?
Yeah, the punch. Yeah.
No, he's been doing that.
Oh, has he been doing that? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, he would use it, but he'd been doing that. He brought that back when he did the boxing match with Floyd.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because he had trained in some boxing while he was gone and tried to lose weight. And that was one of the things he brought back. Now, he wasn't using it as a finisher when he brought it in with Floyd, but he had brought it in, and then eventually it became his finisher. He was using it earlier when he was using it against like the Undertaker
Okay.
and guys like that. Um, so he has a match with Big Show. He ends up winning the steel cage match. Laurinaitis is fired, and one of the classic fiery moments. Cena's got him in the FU. Vince McMahon just screams that you're fired, and then the FU's him into a table. Great moment there. Then I think he goes on to win Money in the Bank that year.
And he gives the dumbest look on his face when he wins it.
Well, because he wasn't supposed to do it like the way he does it. That's what's hilarious. Because he's hitting Big Show with the case.
Yeah.
And then the case breaks off when he hits the Big Show the last time. So then he's just like, oh, I won. Ah.
Oh, man.
So Cena wins the title. And then
Briefcase.
Briefcase, sorry. And then he pulls one of the stupidest moves.
Dumb. So dumb.
This is why sometimes I love John Cena, but his character sometimes
He's such a goofy little like superhero type of guy who doesn't do anything wrong.
So so instead of like using it at any chance you get,
Like you should.
which even if you use it, that doesn't make you a heel.
Yeah, even faces can do that.
You're
like
allowed
Ziggler
to
comes
do
in
it.
and wins one, and he doesn't. He's not a heel, really.
You're allowed to do it. So he tells Punk, who's still the champ, that he wants to use the briefcase and cash in on Raw 1000, one of the biggest Raws ever. So they have a match. It's a great match, but then the Big Show comes out and gets Cena DQ'd. So Cena loses the briefcase. So it was a waste of his time. They end up having a triple threat match at SummerSlam, which Punk ends up obviously winning. And then in the rest of that time, I think he really with CM Punk being on top, he really isn't doing. But that was one that you remember. That's one of the things CM Punk always complained about. There was times when Cena's wrestling John Laurinaitis in the main event, Punk's on the pre-show.
That was one of his big gripes.
Not really, but he's in the early stage matches and not really main eventing ever. But then at Night of Champions, that's right, at Night of Champions, Cena and Punk had had a one-on-one match, but it ended up in a draw. Then he actually got hurt with an arm injury because they were gonna have a cell match, and they had a whole build to that cell match. Like Cena was they were gonna wrestle. I remember Mick Foley came out and was telling Punk that he's gonna have to find a different gear in the cell to survive against John Cena. Like they were building up as Cena's unbeatable. Punk's gonna have to find somebody to figure it out. And then Cena ends up not being able to wrestle, and they switch it to Ryback in the cell. This is your Ryback time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then Ryback is the one that's kind of he was getting pushed, but he kind of got just thrown right into the lion's den in that cell match. Punk ends up winning obviously against Ryback. Cena returns. They have the triple threat.
Punk hated wrestling Ryback.
Oh yeah, he hates Ryback. So they have the triple threat match at Survivor Series, and what is that Survivor Series known for?
That's the Shield debut.
That's the Shield debut. So he debuted the Shield debut in that match. Punk ends up winning, which then we later find out that the Shield and Punk were kind of working together anyway. Not that Punk really knew, it was more of a Heyman thing, but the actual idea, which I love when Punk tells a story and then Rollins always hates it, is that Punk tells the story that he's the one that actually created the Shield, which he actually was supposed to. It was supposed to be
his little bodyguard guy.
It was they were supposed to be his bodyguards to help him, keep the title. And it was supposed to be Seth, it was supposed to be Dean, and it was supposed to be Cassius Ohno. And Cassius Ohno couldn't control his weight.
He was pretty chunky at that time.
And it was having some problems with that, and so they went the route of Roman Reigns, which is crazy how that all worked out. But so anyway, the Shield come in. Cena ends up getting into a feud with Dolph Ziggler over the relationship with AJ, because AJ was with Dolph at that time. And then there was kind of a rumbling that Cena and AJ were like getting together.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
And then Dolph was, attacked Cena. They had the ladder match for the briefcase at TLC, where AJ was like on Cena's side. But then she betrayed him and turned heel and pushed Cena out of the ring off the ladder. And then Dolph ended up winning the match and kept his briefcase. And then that's when she and Dolph got together, like as a relationship and as a heel character. And then they brought in Big E.
Yeah.
And as the enforcer.
Punk digs crazy chicks, so.
And so that's the one where I think that's when Dolph and AJ, don't they get hit with like mud or something in the ring when they're wearing like not that they were getting married, but they were wearing like nice clothes.
Yeah, I think they get something happens to them.
So Cena had that little feud with Dolph. He ends up winning the Rumble, 2013 Rumble for the second time. That's the second Rumble win. He teams up at the Elimination Chamber with Ryback and Sheamus to take on the Shield, and they end up losing. And then in one of the greatest Raw matches ever, February 25th, John Cena takes on CM Punk for the number one contendership against The Rock at WrestleMania. And it's like, if you can go back and watch that match somehow, go find that match, because it is amazing. CM Punk talks about it might be his greatest match ever. And it's just on a random Raw. It's so funny. But so Cena ends up winning that. He goes on to have twice in a lifetime with The Rock.
They lied.
Shocker. They lied to us. So now we're at twice in a lifetime. And it ends up it's in New York, and Cena ends up beating The Rock for the because Rock had beat CM Punk in the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. So Cena ended up winning the WWE Championship.
And he had that ugly version of the WWE title. I hate that version.
Yeah, that's when they debuted the new. He got rid of that toy. Rock called it a toy, the spinner belt.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, well, we like the spinner belt. Not a lot of people do, though. So then Cena went on. He beat The Rock. He's the champion again. And then he has the feud with Ryback. that they were supposed. Which talk about botching somebody's big time push because they had the match at WrestleMania 29, Ryback versus Mark Henry, where you think this match was only made to get Ryback over so he'd be ready for a kind of a title hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually loses to Mark Henry at WrestleMania, which everyone hated. It made no sense. And then so he loses the match because he tried to pick him up and Mark Henry fell on him.
That's right. Yeah.
And then he got pinned. And then they were trying to give him the moment after the match, and he couldn't pick Mark Henry up to do his shell shock. He was having a super hard time
Hey,
picking
Mark's
him
a
up.
big guy.
So it just was an all around bad time for Ryback. So then Cena's getting attacked the next night on Raw, and Ryback comes out to save him, but then he hits him with the meat hook clothesline and ends up getting into a feud with him. So they have a couple matches. It's nothing.
It's almost like he should have won that match at WrestleMania, so it'd be more.
Yeah, exactly. You think if you were going to go that route, you think you would had him win the match. So they end up going with that. It was just two whatever matches, nothing crazy. They go on, and then one of my all-time favorite storyline little things is when Mark Henry randomly comes out after a John Cena match in his pink salmon
Oh, the
suit.
salmon suit.
The salmon suit.
Legendary.
And Mark told Cena to stay in the ring. He wants him to hear this. And Mark basically gives you an emotional, super sad retirement speech.
Yeah, we fell for it.
Where like you're crying. You think this guy's done. He said that his daughter was crying watching it because she believed it. He didn't tell anybody. And so Cena goes up to him and he like raises his arm and clapping, and Cena's getting ready to leave, and Mark just obliterates him, takes him out, smashes him. Basically, the whole thing was a ruse just to get Cena in the ring with him so he could take him out. They had the match at Money in the Bank that Cena ends up winning. Um, but yeah, that's one of those
It's a
moments where
classic moment.
they just swerved you. They had you in the palm of their hand. You thought he was retiring. You were crying, and then he takes Cena out. So then Cena's allowed to pick his number one contender at SummerSlam. He ends up picking Daniel Bryan because he says Bryan had been getting underutilized, and he felt
Yeah,
like he
this
should
is the
have.
start of Bryan's ascension.
Yeah, this is the start of Bryan kind of getting that big time.
The yes is getting over. Crowd starting to get behind him.
Exactly. So then they have the match. Triple H is a special referee.
Classic.
Cena's hurt. He had that giant elbow
Oh, that's right.
problem.
He had the huge ball on his arm.
Yeah, he had the giant ball.
Disgusting.
And he had to wear the elbow pad during
I
the
forgot
match.
about that.
And this was kind of his way to leave for a while and let Bryan take his spot, basically. So Bryan wins the match, beats Cena clean. Triple H counts to 3. And then we get the classic authority
Oh,
turn
legendary.
where Triple H turns on Bryan. Orton comes out with the Money in the Bank, and the authority is born. So we get that at that same SummerSlam. Cena leaves for a little bit. The authority have their little matches with Bryan here and there at the couple pay-per-views. Cena actually ends up coming back at Heck in a Cell where he fights Alberto for the world title. And he beats Alberto for the world title at Heck in a Cell, which was kind of random. But they were kind of building it up. You'll find out where they're going in a couple months, but they needed that Alberto loss to kind of build what they were trying to do with Orton. So Cena beats Del Rio, and then he comes out, and I gotta try to remember where he's doing it. Survivor Series. I think he fights Del Rio again in Survivor Series, which then leads into the champion versus champion unification match between Cena and Orton in a TLC match at the TLC pay-per-view. And Cena ends up losing that match. He gets a rematch against Orton at the Royal Rumble
You're just
and
gonna gloss
loses.
over the fact that that's the last time we see the big gold belt?
It's not the last time though.
Well, that's because Orton holds both titles, I guess. But
So it's a unification match, but instead of like making one title,
yeah, he
it's
carries
kind
around
of
both for a little bit.
it was a throwback to what Jericho did when he had both titles for a
Yeah,
while.
and then he carries them into WrestleMania. Yeah, yeah.
And then they end up. I mean, the two titles stick around for a while. They don't get rid of the big old belt for a while. Because don't you remember? Well, we'll get there in a second. But so Cena goes out. He loses that match. He loses the rematch. Orton becomes the champion of champions. It gets built up real big. It leads to that big Daniel Bryan win at WrestleMania 30. But Cena enters the Elimination Chamber. He gets distracted by the Wyatts. That starts that feud. So the Wyatts distract Cena there, and then Cena ends up having a match with Bray Wyatt, where it's one of those first times where Bray Wyatt like kind of breaks the wall of Cena and says, "You're always good, but you really have that evil inside of you,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's the kind of storyline they play out there. And so they have a moment where like Bray's on his knees and Cena's going to hit him with the chair, but then he decides not to. And you think uh, that Bray's going to end up winning the match, but then Cena ends up winning. Then they have a steel cage match. And Extreme Rules of Bray wins because a kid is in the like comes in the ring. It was weird. And then at Payback in the Last Man Standing, Cena ends up being Bray to end the feud. So that leads us into Money in the Bank, where at Money in the Bank, Daniel Bryan, who had gotten hurt with some neck injuries, had to
Ooh.
leave for a while, and he had to give up the undisputed championship. And that leads into the Money in the Bank match, which is not a Money in the Bank match. It was a ladder match for the undisputed championship, and only former world champions were allowed to enter into that match. And so they had the match, and Cena ends up winning that match. And what I was going to say earlier was remember, Cena walks around and he wears the belts around his neck
Yeah,
at that time. He wears
I
he
remember that.
puts
Yeah.
them connected and he wears them around his neck. Um, so then he goes on to defend the title of Battleground in a fatal four-way against Orton, Kane, and Reigns. And then it's one of those moments that always live in. I don't know if it would be infamy, but it shocked a lot of people at SummerSlam that year. It's when he loses to Lesnar in the squash of all
Oh
squashes.
right. Right.
The 16 suplexes, two F5s.
The birth of Suplex City.
Ugh. One of the craziest squashes. No one ever thought Cena was getting squashed, and he got squashed. Um, so he was done. So that's when I don't remember Brock holding it. I think that's when Brock just takes the one title.
Yeah, he didn't. He never holds the big gold belt. They already
Yeah,
merged it.
I think they got rid of that at that point. Like Brock was the one that
He
said
just
I'm
holds
just
the
gonna.
regular title. Yeah.
Yeah. So then Brock's champ, Cena gets a rematch with him. He loses that one. Seth Rollins had attacked him and caused him to lose that match.
Yeah, this is prime Weasel Seth Rollins. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
he just won the Money in the Bank. He's all in the authority, leading the authority around. Then Cena beats Orton in a Heck in a Cell match, become number one contender. But the authorities ticked off that Cena's number one contender again. So that leads to Survivor Series. Plus, Brock isn't coming back. So they kind of had to do stuff at this point where Brock wasn't wrestling all the time and he's the champion. So they like Cena and Orton have to main event as a number one contender match and not a title match,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Hmm.
So that ends up going into Survivor Series where they have the classic match where it's Team Cena versus Team Authority. And if the Authority lose, then they lose their power. Um, and Cena somehow ends up winning that match, even though Big Show turned on him and joined the Authority. But
Shocker.
you,
Big Show
but
turns.
you have the classic spot at the end where Cena gets eliminated. I think it's only Dolph and Seth left. But Triple H comes in the ring because he's losing his mind. I like one of my favorite parts about that match is progressively throughout the match, Triple H keeps losing pieces of his attire. Like he starts out in like a suit and tie, and then by the end he's just got barely wearing the shirt and the pants on. So and he's sweating like crazy. So he gets in the ring and he's taking out Dolph, and then it's the huge debut of the Icon, Sting.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Sting comes out. I
Is that when
love
he's
the crow music.
is that when he's revealed under the thing and he's all sweaty and
No,
the
no,
makeup's
no.
up?
That's later.
Oh, okay.
No, this is they had been doing like little preview hints of
Yeah.
somebody
We were
was
at one of the
coming.
Raws.
No. You're always jumping ahead.
Oh, okay.
No. That's for WrestleMania.
Oh, okay. I just
This is
remember things.
before. Yes, they were just doing. This is when they were just doing like the little crow things. You didn't really know what it was for. And then he comes out at Survivor Series, takes out Triple H. Dolph ends up beating Seth. The Authority's gone. But then it ends up where Seth ends up figuring out that there's a way to bring the Authority back. He decides that he has a match against Cena at TLC in a tables match with Cena and beats him in. But then there's a night on Raw where Edge is kind of hosting his thing, his cutting edge,
Hmm.
and Rollins comes out and basically has Big Show hold Edge down.
Oh, that's
And
right.
he's
Yeah.
going to hit the stomp on Edge if Cena doesn't bring back the Authority. So then Cena ends up bringing back the Authority. And then this in turn fired Ziggler, Ryback, and Rowan because they had joined Team Cena. So it was kind of that kind of thing. Then we go on to Royal Rumble, where again Cena's involved in a classic match with Brock and Seth Rollins.
I remember.
One of my favorite triple threat matches, and it was a showcase of Seth Rollins. It really started to put him on that top tier of what he can do in the ring. But Cena ends up not winning that match. So he kind of has to start shifting his focus somewhere else. And he begins his feud with Rusev. And he has a match against Rusev at Fastlane, and he gets passed out in the Accolade. So then they decide to have the match at WrestleMania 31 when Rusev comes out in the tank. And Cena ends up beating him there to win the U.S. title, which he hadn't won since, I think, 2005 was the last
Around
time?
there, yeah.
So the next night on Raw, he comes out and he does the iconic U.S. Open Challenge, where he defends the title every week against a different guy.
Amazing.
And while he's doing that, he also fights Rusev in a Russian chain match and an I Quit match at Extreme Rules and Payback. But then the next night at his Open Challenge, Kevin Owens comes out, the NXT champion, which was
Legendary.
this was like that first time the NXT really got that. Like the Shield had debuted, they were in NXT, but it wasn't like an NXT guy had come up to the main roster yet. Like they didn't view those guys as NXT guys. They came up and they debuted. Kevin Owens was the NXT champion, coming up to have a champion versus champion match against the U.S. champion John Cena, and he beats him in an elimination chamber. But then Cena gets the wins at Money in the Bank and Battleground, kind of ending that feud and slowing down Kevin Owens a little. You probably would have liked to see Kevin Owens go over in that feud, but with the title on the line, it was hard to give Owens that title when he was still in NXT doing that stuff. So that leads Cena into his match against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, where it's title versus title, winner
Oh,
take
the
all.
white suit.
The white suit.
Vince hates that suit.
Yeah, hated it. Thought it looked so stupid, but it's a
It's
clean
classic.
look.
It's one of the best attires I've ever seen.
It's clean, so you gotta love it from Seth. So Seth ends up uh, breaking Cena's nose in this lead up to
Oh,
this match
disgusting.
with that knee shot to the
It's a
face.
nasty
Oh,
shot.
it's horrible. Um, so they get ready to have their match at SummerSlam. Seth ends up winning the match
Yeah, 2 belts.
and being having the two belts. So then he's gonna get that statue
Oh, that's right.
in the ring of him with the two belts. And that's the moment you're talking about with Sting,
And
where
they kept him under there for so long.
they kept him under there too long, and his paint was melting off his face. It was so hot in there.
God, they did Sting so dirty in his WWE run.
So Sting comes out and he attacks him. So then Seth ends up having the double matches at Night of Champions, where he has a match against Cena, which he loses, but then he ends up beating Sting in the main event.
Yeah, he hurts him.
Yeah, he hurts his
The
neck,
buckle bomb.
and Sting has to retire. And then he has then they have a match at a special. I think it was a special net. Was it network or was it Peacock in this? I think it was network.
No, it was network.
It was network, right?
Yeah, because I think they debuted the network in 2014. So
Yeah, so it was network. It was a WWE Live from Madison Square Garden. They had a steel cage match, and then so then Cena went on with his open challenges, and then at Heck in a Cell he ended up losing to the returning Alberto Del Rio.
yeah,
This is when he was returning back from uh, when he left that for that first time. And then after he lost the title at Heck in a Cell, he had to take some time off for his shoulder was hurting him. So he ends up taking some time off. He makes his big return, if you remember, at WrestleMania 32. Do you remember what he did at WrestleMania 32? It wasn't a match.
Who's Cena or Del Rio?
Is this a Cena retrospective or a Del Rio retrospective?
Well, we were just talking. You were just talking about Del Rio, so
I just saying he returned. I'm talking
let's
about
see.
Cena.
Cena at 32.
WrestleMania 32. It's not a match. He makes a big return though. This
What
is the
does he
first time
do?
you see him since Heck in a Cell.
I don't know.
So there was The Rock came out, and he gets attacked by the Wyatts, and has the match with Eric Rowan, where he beats him in like 13 seconds.
Okay,
Okay, you remember that?
kind of.
So then the Wyatts surround the ring, and then who comes out to save The Rock?
Cena.
John Cena, which was one of those iconic moments of those two staying in the ring together
Okay,
after all the stuff they had been through. So that was Cena's one night return, but he wasn't back for good yet. He doesn't come back. He started to get called out by AJ. I was blanking on his name for a second. This is when AJ he had just kind of come in and done this thing, and he joined up with the club.
Yeah, the Good Brothers.
And he was starting to their classic beat up John Cena.
That is classic.
That's what they always would say. And so
He's
then
a
he
nerd.
started. So that led to the dream match at Money in the Bank. AJ Styles, the face of TNA for so long, versus the face of WWE, John Cena.
God, the crowd goes crazy in that thing.
Which is one of the better matches. Their SummerSlam match is better, but Money in the Bank's a great match too. Then so they had the match at Money in the Bank. Styles ends up winning because of Gallows and Anderson. Cena ends up enlisting Enzo and Big Cass
Because, of course, they were hot.
to help to take on the club. And they end up winning that match. Then the unthinkable, which I forgot to mention, one of the funniest things that happened to you ever, and I'm mad I missed it.
Okay.
But I was on such a roll, I forgot about it until just this moment. But I need to go back to 2011 WWE Draft and one of the saddest nights in your life.
I remember now.
Because the very first match on there, SmackDown wins it, and they get the first draft pick. And the first draft pick is John Cena. And you loved it. You were freaking out.
Yeah, because
You
Cena
were
never
so
been on. At least I had
excited.
never seen him on SmackDown before. He'd
You
always
were
been a Raw
so
guy.
happy for the change. You couldn't believe he was going to SmackDown. And then Cena, even later in the night, puts on a
He
SmackDown
puts on a
shirt.
SmackDown shirt.
He's in a match for SmackDown. I think he's in that Battle Royal at the end of the night. And then the Raw wins the very last match of the night. The very last pick for Raw of the night, John Cena back to Raw. It's one of the funniest things.
It's
You
unbelievable.
freaked out. You were ticked off,
I'm pretty sure I
yelling at the
cried.
TV. I just imagine Vince McMahon sitting in the back in Gorilla,
It's cruel.
laughing
Just
his
cruel.
butt off because how funny he thought that was.
That's cruel.
To freak out all the fans thinking Cena was going to SmackDown and then end up bringing him right
I'm
back to
pretty sure I
Raw.
cried. I remember crying.
Classic.
Because I would have been
Anyway,
like, what, 11 or 12 or something like that? So,
something like that. So that leads me back into 2016 draft, where WWE had decided to do a full-on brand split again.
yep.
They had stopped doing it for a while.
Ambrose is the leader of the ship on
a
SmackDown.
full-on brand split, introduce a new world title.
Because they get the Fox deal.
Mm-hmm. Because they're going to become SmackDown Live, and then they're getting ready to go to Fox. And so they decide to do the unthinkable and take John Cena and make him the flagship of SmackDown and draft him over there.
Mm-hmm.
So Cena's drafted to SmackDown.
And they actually did it this time.
And they actually did it this time. So he ends up coming out, and he had like I said, he had the match at SummerSlam with AJ, who AJ also got drafted to SmackDown. And AJ lost to AJ in that match. Then AJ ended up winning the title, the WWE Championship from Dean.
Face the runs the place.
And then in a triple threat, Cena fought Dean and AJ at No Mercy and ended up losing that match too. Then he took some time off. This is 2016 is about the time when Cena just
He slowed down a lot.
He really wasn't there as much as he was before. He really started to kind of
he's getting off. He's getting into actor stuff.
He was getting injured more. He was doing things like he took some time off to do American Grit. So stuff like that. It was just taking time away. So then we come to Royal Rumble 2017. He had come back on SmackDown and said he doesn't really have much left to do. And this is in 2017. Think about that. Now we're in 2025 and he's retiring. But 2017, he said he didn't really have much left to do, but there's one thing he's on the cusp of and he wants to accomplish it. And that's become a 16-time world champion. And so he challenges AJ Styles to a match at the Royal Rumble 2017. He ends up beating AJ finally because he hadn't been able to beat AJ yet. He beats AJ at the Royal Rumble and he ties Ric Flair's record for most world title reigns at 16. Can you believe that was in 2017? He doesn't win the 17th one until 2025. That's how crazy that is to think about. So he goes on to win it, and then, but unfortunately for him, at the next pay-per-view Elimination Chamber, he loses in the Elimination Chamber to Bray Wyatt.
Classic, love it.
So Bray Wyatt becomes champion.
Now that I'm thinking about a tangent, because what we were talking about
Yes.
earlier before we started this, I say Bray's probably that fifth person. Now that I think about it.
Oh, okay. You think so?
Yeah,
I
probably.
can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Anyway,
so no, you're fine. So then Cena goes on to get in a feud. At this point, he has kind of been more known for the Total Divas and Total Bellas and all that.
That's right. Yeah, because he had
stuff
the house rules
with Nikki Bella, and so he was kind of in that. So then he ends up getting in the feud with the Miz and Maurice, and teaming up with his real life girlfriend Nikki Bella. They had the match at WrestleMania 33, which I was at.
I was about to say, yeah.
I was there. I saw it. You texted me saying, "Did you see him get married?" I said, "Yes, I'm on the top row." Of course,
they get engaged.
Or they get engaged. So they win the match against Miz Maurice, and then he proposes to Nikki Bella, which I'm sure he wants to take that back because that was probably awkward looking back at that one now. But so he has that moment, and then after that match, he goes away again for a while. he doesn't come back, or at least he's not even talked about until the Superstar Shakeup in July, where they talk about Cena as a free agent. He's not on Raw or SmackDown anymore. He can
Interesting.
just show up wherever he wants. So his SmackDown run lasted from right after right at SummerSlam until WrestleMania. So that was
No,
how
at
long.
least we got it.
So he comes back. He's he can work on both Raw and SmackDown. He comes back to have a flag match against Rusev at Battleground. He wrestles Baron. So he's kind of turned into the phase where he's starting to build up other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not saying he does a good job of it because he beat Rusev in a flag match at Battleground. He wrestled Baron Corbin at SummerSlam. And then one of the all-time iconic moments of John Cena's time at this point, when he started to consider himself a part-timer, was when he has the promo with Roman Reigns, they were building up to be
Oh
the next
no,
big
not this
guy.
promo.
And poor Roman Reigns forgets the lines,
Oh
and
no.
Cena pounces like a shark in chum-infested water and berates the poor man
Oh, Roman.
and tells him that he can do this part time better than Roman can do it at full time, and
Is
that the
this
only and this is the only reason Cena still comes around is because he has to do Roman's job because Roman can't do his own job.
when does he debut the fine speech?
The fine speech.
Comeback. He always says fine speech comeback as his comeback for somebody in a promo.
This he might have said it
I can't
here,
remember
but
if that's when he says it or not.
yeah, he was doing that more when he would come back. When he would, whenever he says that, you know he's about to scorch earth you, and you're just like crap.
I feel so bad for Roman in that. Oh,
So
it's
so
hard
he
to
has
watch it.
so he has the match with Roman, and that was kind of the match that was supposed to. They were WWE was getting worried that Cena was going to retire,
Hmm.
and so they wanted to like that should have been like a WrestleMania match in reality. Like they could have built to WrestleMania and have Roman beat Cena at WrestleMania, but they were worried Cena was going to retire, so they jumped the gun on it. Roman wasn't ready for it, and Roman ends up winning the match, but it really didn't put him over the way they thought it was going to, because he wasn't in the position yet to do that, and then Cena really, in Cena's mind, I don't think he was done, but the people were looking at him like he was done, and so I think that kind of ticked him off a little bit, and so he was like had a little venom in what he was
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
So then he was kind of not in the position to put Roman over like he probably should have been at that point. Um, so then he came back again and he ends up joining Team SmackDown at the Survivor Series, SmackDown versus Raw. Um, the Team SmackDown ended up losing. Um, then he doesn't come back again to the Royal Rumble, but he didn't win that in 2018. If I remember right, is it 2018 or 2019? That's the epic star-studded Rumble. Oh, was it 2018?
Um.
Now I gotta try to remember. Do you remember the iconic Lesnar's in the ring, and then Goldberg's in the ring,
Okay.
and then the lights go out, and then Undertaker standing in between both of them,
Yeah.
and then that's like setting up the Rumble because all of them are entering the Rumble.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that's 18 or 19, but anyway, Cena
Uh,
ended up losing the Rumble. He uh, He was entered into the number one contendership for the Universal Championship Elimination Chamber and lost that. He was in a six-pack challenge at Fastlane for the WWE Championship and didn't win. So then he goes on to have this like agenda that he's going to wrestle Undertaker at that WrestleMania. And so every week he comes out and says he wants to fight Undertaker, blah, blah, blah. Undertaker never says anything. He does it again, does it again. Undertaker never responds. So then we go to WrestleMania. John Cena pulls the most John Cena thing ever and sits in the front row and watches the show the whole time. And then we get him, the classic, the ref comes and tells him that somebody tells him the Undertaker's there. And Cena does the stupidest run I've ever seen in my life, where he jumps over the barricade and then he like shuffle runs all the way up the ramp in his jeans. And it's so weird to see Cena wearing jeans. So he runs up the ramp only to get dressed to fight the Undertaker, and then Undertaker's entrance is longer than the actual match because he squashes Cena in like 3 minutes.
I remember listening to Busted Open, and they were like, it was a hot topic if Cena was actually going to get to fight the Undertaker.
Yeah, the OGs busted open, and yeah, so he gets squashed. Then he goes on to the Greatest Royal Rumble and fights Triple H and beats him. He teams up with Lashley to beat Elias and Owens at Super Showdown later that year in October. He was going to be at the Crown Jewel in Saudi because the Saudis wanted him to be at all their shows, but then he decided to back out after the well, we know what happened. Let's not get into that here. But a lot of people backed out of that Crown Jewel show because of that. So then you don't see Cena again until 2019, where he comes out and he teams up with Becky Lynch to take on Andrade and Zelina. Then he comes back out later on Raw and it lost to Finn Balor in a fatal four-way with McIntyre and Corbin to figure out who's going on the Universal Championship of Royal Rumble. He was going to be in the Rumble match that year, but then he got taken out with a ankle injury. So then that's the point where it's kind of you realizing that he's pretty much a part timer now. At WrestleMania 35, we were at, both of us.
Yep.
He brings back the iconic Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick when he interrupts Elias's concert and scorches Elias, and then takes out him with the FU, and then you don't see him again until the Raw reunion in July, where he gets in a rap battle with the Usos. So those are the only two times in 2019 Cena even comes out. Then Cena returns again in February on SmackDown, where he's pretty much in 2020. People forget that for like 3 months in 2020, it was actually real life.
Yeah, it didn't happen till March.
Like, people look back at 2020 and say, "Oh God, 2020 was crazy." Like, things really happened in like the first 3 months of 2020. But anyway, so Cena comes out, and basically it was like his retirement. He was saying he's done. He hasn't wrestled in over a year. It's kind of time to finish it up and be done. And he gets interrupted by the Fiend, who then they end up they're going to have a match, the Fiend versus John Cena at WrestleMania 36. We all know what happened with WrestleMania 36 with COVID. It gets turned into a zero fan event and all that stuff, which then in turn leads to I wouldn't say my favorite match, but one of the most unique matches I've ever watched in my life, which is the Firefly Funhouse match, where you get Cena, which I love Cena's story of that match. Cena said it's the only match he's ever written the entire match down from start to finish.
Makes sense.
And went through it all. He said it just came to him and he just couldn't stop writing it. It just all flowed out of him. So they do the Firefly Funhouse match. At the end of it, he disappears out of the ring. He vanishes in the ring. So he's gone again. He was supposed to come back at WrestleMania 37, but he was filming Peacemaker at the time.
Nice.
And he couldn't leave to go to Tampa because of the restrictions of having to quarantine. So that was the first WrestleMania. WrestleMania 37 was the first one he missed since WrestleMania 19.
Man.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. So that he finally returns after all that time, which is why he gets one of the biggest pops at this event. You know which one I'm talking about?
It's the Money in the Bank with Roman.
2021 Money in the Bank.
It's the most craziest pop I've ever heard.
When Roman says that he's beaten everybody. and he's done. He's done. He's beat them all. There's no one better than him.
True.
And then that music hits. Besides 2008 Rumble, that's probably Cena's biggest pop ever. It was insane.
Like if they had a decibel meter, whatever that's called, it would have broken.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, it was insane. He says he's gonna take out Roman and take the title
This is
back.
Tribal Chief Roman. You're not taking
Yeah,
out Roman.
yeah. This is not Big Dog Roman. This is Tribal Chief Roman.
This is God mode
Yeah,
Roman.
he's a big guy in town now. He's been champ for over a year now. He's getting right in his wheelhouse. So they end up having the match at SummerSlam, where Roman ends up beating him, which that match is more the one that makes Roman more than the one in No Mercy 2017.
Yeah.
They You can see how far they jumped the gun on that. So then Cena returns in 2022 because it's his 20th anniversary on the main roster, and Vince calls him out there. And again, one of the biggest pops I've ever heard. But that's what happens when he shows up random.
Yeah.
He's
Nowadays he's
showing
getting the
up.
biggest pops ever because
He's showing up
it's
once or twice a year, so
yeah,
it's
it's
hard.
rare. Yeah.
It's hard not to cheer for him. So he comes back for that night only. Then he comes back December 30th on SmackDown, and he teams up with Kevin Owens to take on Reigns and Sami Zayn of the Bloodline. So he has that match to help Kevin Owens out. Then he gets challenged by Austin Theory for the U.S. Championship match at WrestleMania 39, and he puts over Theory and loses that match. Um, then at
Wait,
what?
I might be ahead. When does
You're
he
probably ahead.
when does he fight Solo?
Oh yeah, you're way ahead. Why you always jump ahead? I'm in 2023 here, buddy.
Okay, okay. I was just thinking.
That, uh, that's your problem. Um, so he puts over Theory, loses at WrestleMania 39. Then at Money in the Bank, he makes the surprise appearance where he says that WrestleMania should come to the UK and does
Oh,
that.
that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then Grayson Waller comes out and he attacks Grayson Waller. Then at Payback that year, he serves as the host of the show, and then he's the special referee for LA Knight and The Miz. Um, then he gets attacked on SmackDown by Jimmy Uso and Solo, and AJ made the same. AJ Styles made the same, and so then they were going to sign a contract for a tag match at Fastlane, but AJ got taken out by the Bloodline. But LA Knight actually ended up signing the contract for the tag match at
Hmm.
Fastlane with Cena, where they ended up beating Solo and Jimmy.
That was a pretty cool match. I remember that.
Yeah. So then Cena decides to go down and build up NXT. Um, so Carmelo Hayes was going to have a match with Braun Breaker, and Cena decides to be in Carmelo Hayes' corner for that match.
I remember that. Yep.
So he was trying to build up Hayes a little bit. So then Cena teased retirement, um, saying that he was getting close to being time to retire. And then uh, Solo came out and attacked Cena, which then that sets up their match at Crown Jewel that November. See, I was in April still. You were in November.
Okay, okay.
So which then Cena ended up losing
I forget these crown jewel things.
at Crown Jewel to Solo, putting Solo over. He took 9 Simone spikes in that match, by the way.
I remember that. Yeah.
Think about that.
Maga
So
didn't
so
give him that many.
so then we don't see Cena again until we get the super surprise return in one of the biggest matches ever at WrestleMania 40, Roman versus Cody. Cena comes out.
Oh, is that the next time we see him?
Yeah, that's after the solo match. That's the next time you see him.
When Cody calls the Avengers?
So yeah, basically, yeah, it's like Endgame. So Solo comes out, trying to take out Cody, and then Cena comes out to stop him, which makes sense in terms of they was his last guy to fight him. So, and this is where you really start to tell that Cena's not tanning anymore. Like it's just one of those, like the last couple of years you kind of can tell, but then it's really noticeable at this
He's pretty pale.
pay-per-view. But I
Shame is his
mean,
brother.
to be fair to him, he had a little bit of skin cancer and stuff like that was going on, and I don't think he was able to tan anymore. So it was kind of one of those things where it's just like you just gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, he's balding. He had a lot of problems going on at this point in his life. So,
But he's acting. He's doing good there.
yeah, but they could cover him up there.
Yeah.
So he looked fine there. So he goes on to take out Solo and put him through a table with the AA, and then Rock comes out and takes out Cena, the final boss, and that leads to Cody ends up winning that match. As Cena
Well, Undertaker takes that Rock.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Cody wins that match eventually.
Yeah.
Cena's
there in the
celebrates with him, all that stuff. And then Cena actually wrestled the next night on Raw, which was his first time on Raw, his first match on Raw since 2019. And he teamed up with the tag champs Awesome Truth versus Judgment Day. And so they
I don't
had
remember
that match. Yeah, he came out to help them. Because remember, Truth and Miz won the titles in that ladder match or whatever.
I remember that, and they were faces at the time. I
So
remember
then
that.
they were, they're faces. And
But I just forgot that they had a 6-man tag.
Yeah, so Cena came out to help them. So then that Money in the Bank in 2014 is when Cena came out and made the huge announcement that 2025 was going to be his retirement tour.
Yep.
So he did that announcement, and then the next time you're going to see him was going to be on the Netflix Raw premiere. So he comes out on there where kind of a weird promo. It was a weird vibe to that.
It was a weird show.
Yeah, it was strange. Because it kind of seemed like he was coming out and he was going to, like, this world was going to be all about him having self-doubt about himself now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, halfway through the promo, it turned into, never mind, I'm amazing. I'm going to win everything. Like, it was just a weird promo. I don't know if they really knew what direction they were going to go with him in. So, but the promo ends up with him saying he's going to be in the Rumble. So he ends up getting in the Rumble, and he gets to the final two, which he ends up getting eliminated by Jay. So then he goes on to the Elimination Chamber number one contender.
Don't act like you didn't like it.
That I like that Cena got eliminated by Jay.
It was cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying
you gave it a tone.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know I had a tone. I've been talking for a couple hours here. Give me a break.
You gave it a tone.
Whatever. Jay sucks. There, I said.
How dare you? Yeet.
Go yeet somewhere else, Jay. Go back to the tag division. Stay down there yeeting. Anyway, you're getting me off topic.
Sorry.
We're in the last year. This has been a long ride. I'm here. I'm in the last little leg. Let me finish. Elimination Chamber. Classic Elimination Chamber. Number one contendership. We get the Seth hitting the stomp on Punk on the outside.
Amazing, fantastic.
And then Cena ends up picking up the win. I think he taps him out, doesn't he?
He puts him in the SCF.
Yeah. Taps him out. Then we get Golly G Lucky Cena. Happy to see Cody come out. Gives him the handshake. I love that whole segment's iconic. But when Rock and Cody are standing there talking to each other and Cena's just doing the reactions in the background.
He's in the corner.
Yeah, he's just standing there like, oh, you didn't just say that.
Well, it's because don't forget about Rock asking Cody he wants his soul.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
the whole thing is Cody gonna give up his soul, and then Cody says, "No, I'm not giving my soul."
No, you missed a word there.
Well, yeah.
F you, Rock. F you.
He says his soul's given to the crowd and all that kind of stuff.
And then we get the classic hug, and then the stare, and then whatever the heck Rock Like, just do a neck slash, Rock. What are
he
you
did like
doing?
the three fingers, and it was I don't even
He's
know.
like going up his face. It's like, oh,
I still don't know what he was doing there.
Then Cena does the face, no emotion.
The camera pan. Oh god.
Oh, and then boom, right in the nuts, right in the American nuts. Just amazing. And then stands to sit there and beat him up for another 10 minutes.
Travis
Like
Scott's there too.
punching him with his watch. Oh yeah, because Travis Scott starts slapping Cody for no reason.
He breaks his eardrum or pops his eardrum, something like
Just
that.
starts slapping him. So then Cena turns heel for the first time in forever. It might be one of the biggest heel turns ever.
It's up there. It's either
I
one
wouldn't
or
say
two.
it's I wouldn't say it's the greatest. I think that's recency bias, but that's just me.
It's one or two.
But it's crazy. I did not see it coming. I was shocked, and then I had to watch it live with you because I watched it live.
Yeah, I didn't. I
and
missed
I
it. I didn't watch
out.
it live.
And so then I told you we have to watch it together because it's insane. And so then we watched it, and you did not see it coming either. You freaked out.
Well, I kind of had like a suspicion because you were making it sound so big. I was like, what's gonna happen here? Is Cody actually gonna sell his soul? And then Cena turns and
It was epic. It was epic. The run afterwards, not as much, but
yeah,
that moment, epic. So then he goes on. He does the whole heel persona where he says he's going to ruin wrestling. I thought it was a weird approach to that character, but whatever. He goes on to finally beat Cody at WrestleMania. And he becomes a 17-time champion, breaks the record, becomes the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Travis Scott was there for some reason. I don't know why. But then, so then we set up the aftermath of WrestleMania. And it's Cena talking about how he's a 17-time champion. He's going to hold the title until his retirement tour is over, and then he's going to go away forever. And you're never going to see the title again. And then I think my favorite part of the setup for him and Randy Orton at Backlash is that Randy Orton just kept RKOing him all the time. Like,
he just show behind him.
Just all out of nowhere, he just kept hitting the RKO
That's what he does.
all the time. Oh,
he's a viper.
So they end up having their final little match, one of his greatest adversaries he's had, and they get that last
It's in
thing
Backlash
there.
in St. Louis too.
Yeah, it was in Randy Orton's hometown. You kind of wondered, but you knew he wasn't going to beat Cena that quick. But R-Truth actually distracted Orton for Cena to win.
Oh, that's right.
And then the post show, R-Truth comes out and he's like, "I'm so happy to see you," blah blah blah. And then Cena just beats the snot out of him.
And he puts him through the table, doesn't he?
Oh, just destroys him.
I forgot that Truth was part of that.
Yeah. So then that goes up until because Truth couldn't believe that he was turned heel.
Yeah, it's a childhood hero.
Yeah, it's his childhood hero, even though he's older than him by like 10 years. But it's whatever. But so they end up having a match at Saturday Night's main event where Cena obliterates him and cheats to win. And then Truth ends up getting fired in real life, which then ends up affecting what happens on here because after the Saturday Night's main event, Cena had like called out Jay at Saturday Night's main event, kind of saying Cena's the world champ, Jay's nothing, because Jay had ended up winning the world title at WrestleMania. And so that sets up Cena coming out and messing up, kind of trying to mess up the Jey Uso versus Logan Paul match at Saturday Night's main event. And then Cody came out. He had returned from WrestleMania and helped Jay. So that set up a tag match at Money in the Bank. So it was Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Drunk buddies at Money in the Bank.
I forgot about that.
And so then they had that match, and then Cena and Paul end up losing that match after R-Truth got fired in real life. He got rehired and comes out in that match and takes out Cena. He was all wearing the hood and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if is that when he cuts his hair off or did he?
No, he does that on Raw, I think.
He does that on Raw. I can't remember when he does that. But. So then they have that. He has a blow off of Truth, Um, and then he goes into um, Night of Champions where he goes one on one with CM Punk, and we get the classic promo battle where the one night Punk comes out as what's he call himself?
Punkonomics.
Punkonomics. That's what it is. Doctor of Punkonomics, which he pulled that off pretty well. I'll give him that. Like he had that get up, and he was dressed up pretty good. And then I think it's the next week Cena does the pipe bomb
I think so.
throwback, where he basically copies the pipe bomb and then does that. So they have their match at Night Champions, and the Vision ends up messing that match up, which is Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. So then that leads to Cena getting attacked by Cody, and they're setting up the SummerSlam street fight they're gonna have. And um, I thought the build-up of this was weird
Yeah, Cena
because
turns face on SmackDown.
he just randomly turns back face just because Cody yelled at him to. It just
I
seemed
want the
weird.
real John Cena. Okay.
Oh, he's probably thinking, finally, I can stop being the stupid idiot character that I am. Anyway, so it just it was just their excuse to turn Cena back face. They realized the heel Cena wasn't working, and so they decided to do some stupid way to get him back to being a face again. So they have a great match. I think the SummerSlam match is 50 times better than the WrestleMania match. The
Oh,
WrestleMania
easily.
match
Yeah.
was horrible. I mean, okay, it wasn't horrible. I shouldn't say that, but it's definitely not a match I'd go back and watch if I
Well,
wanted
Cena said in that CVV interview that he did it on purpose. Well,
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a heel. It makes
he
sense.
wrestled bland on purpose because
Yeah,
he's a heel. And he wants to
yeah,
ruin wrestling.
that's fine. It's just not a match I'm going to go back and watch.
No, no, no.
The SummerSlam match is a lot better.
Easily. Yeah.
So, great match. He puts Cody back over. Cody's crying like always. My God, I'm so tired of that guy crying.
This is not a time for you to dog on Cody.
I'm just tired of seeing him walk and cry and talk. Everything. Anyway, so he goes on to lose the match and put Cody over, and Cody leaves, and then we get the iconic Brock Lesnar return after he was blacklisted for a couple years, and no one saw that coming.
Wait,
I mean,
doesn't he have a
there was inklings, but
doesn't
what?
Cena have a match with Logan Paul again?
Are you just the king of just jumping the gun?
Am I ahead of you? I thought that happened before Brock.
No. We
All right.
talked about this. We've done a show about that.
About
Remember
what?
when we did a reaction show of SummerSlam and we said that he's not going to fight him in Paris? That'd be weird.
Oh,
He's
right,
probably
right,
going to
right.
fight him at the Saudi show.
Yeah.
Which he ended up not doing because they ended up making a pay per view for them to wrestle at instead of the Saudi show. But still, we were right. He wasn't going to wrestle in Paris because that's the next pay per view. So Brock returns, comes out. Michael Cole has a seizure when he comes out, and yeah, I think he peed himself. He was freaking out so much,
It
freaked
looked pretty
out.
crazy.
Thought Brock was going to attack him, and Brock lays Cena out like he always does. Whenever Cena's at his lowest point, there's Brock Lesnar to make it even worse. That's just what he does. So Brock Lesnar takes him out. Um, that leads Cena into Clash of Paris, where he takes on Logan Paul, like you talked about, because he jumped the gun.
I thought it happened before Brock. Sorry.
Then Cena has his final SmackDown match, where he challenges Sami Zayn for the U.S. title. Lesnar came out and laid him out, so that didn't happen. Then the first pay-per-view on ESPN was they created this one, WrestlePalooza, and they had the main event going to be Cena versus Brock Lesnar, and Cena got obliterated again because he can't even put up a fight against Lesnar apparently, which is whatever. I don't know if Cena wanted that to happen, but it was just a weird
He said
match.
he wanted it to.
It just seems weird to me.
He
At
wanted
least
Brock
put
to
up a
get
little fight.
he wanted Brock to get that monster push so that when eventually somebody goes over on Brock, they get that rub.
But it was just a weird visual overall because, like, I just don't get the logic of, hey, Cena, let's come out with like 50 kids and like for
And
your
watch them get
entrance,
watch you get massacred by Brock Lesnar.
and they're all like cheering for you and they're so happy, and then you wrestle Brock for like 5 minutes and get obliterated. Like I didn't. That just seemed. It just seemed off to me. But that's WWE for you sometimes. So then after that, Cena um, did the went on to Crown Jewel. He knew he was gonna have a match at Crown Jewel, and he actually put this match into place himself by tweeting out that he wanted to face AJ Styles. Did he tweet that he wanted to fight AJ, or did he tweet that he just wanted to fight somebody at
I think
Crown
he
Jewel?
had
I
mentioned
forget.
AJ in there because he had heard the people
Something like
talking,
that.
and then AJ tweeted back at him,
Yeah,
and then Triple H tweeted and said it was happening and stuff.
yeah, that's something like that. So then Cena ended up having a match with AJ, which might be one of my favorite matches
It's pretty awesome.
in a long time. It was great. And it actually was Cena's 100th victory in a pay-per-view and or live streaming event for the WWE.
And it'll be his last.
So, well, you don't. Well, I guess yeah. I guess you wouldn't count Saturday Night's main event in that if he did win. So he ends up beating AJ for that. Wins his 100th. I'm just gonna say 100th pay-per-view. And then, so then they announced that they're gonna have a tournament to decide his last uh, opponent at the Saturday Night's main event that's coming up this Saturday. So they started having the tournament. The last time is now tournament. In the meantime, he goes to Boston and he wins the Intercontinental Championship for the first time in his career, becoming Triple Crown and Grand Slam champion. Then he goes on to team up with Ray and Sheamus to take on the Judgment Day, and that'd be his final Raw match. And then he goes on for his final pay-per-view match at Survivor Series, and he loses the title back to Dominic,
Dirty, dirty Dom, dirty,
which
dirty
was a
Dom.
strange match,
10 out of 10.
but
No
but
notes.
it got the job done. The live thing was kind of weird, but whatever.
We talked about it.
See,
Go listen to our Survivor Series recap.
yes, but seeing his face during the live thing is, I think, my favorite part of it, though.
There's a
What's
picture of it from
yeah,
Cena's angle. It's hilarious.
it's just classic. And that's where we're sitting at right now. We're waiting on this last time is now tournament. Gunther won it. He beat LA Knight.
As I
And,
predicted.
and now we're sitting waiting for Saturday to come to watch Cena walk
Lose.
off into the sunset. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. He can lose, but it'll be a sad night. I'll be crying.
Oh yeah,
I
it'll
can
definitely be
guarantee
sad.
that. So you won't be crying, but
No, I'll be sad though. Seeing Cena wrestle for the last time.
no, you gotta cry.
Well, I
So
hope everyone enjoyed that very thorough John Cena retrospective. I enjoyed it.
okay, that was rude.
No, I
There
didn't
was
mean
so
for it to.
much tone in that.
I didn't mean for it to come off as sarcastic. It
You're
was
over there.
genuine.
You're over there taking a nap. I'm pouring my heart out into this
I remember.
retrospective
I forgot a lot of stuff that happened. I remembered it.
of John Cena's career. I not even got notes here.
I know you do.
I'm just sitting here off the top of my head. So I don't remember my kids' names, but John Cena's entire career, that's locked in the safe, baby. I got it.
Well, I hope you. I genuinely. I hope you enjoyed it because I enjoyed it. I didn't mean it to sound sarcastic.
It was sarcastic.
And that will wrap up John Cena's career. It's been an amazing 23 years, 24 years. I think
Yeah,
it's 23
23
years.
years. He's the GOAT, man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Waste all time.
We got started at the we watched when he first he was on top, and then we've seen the rest of his career.
Man, it's crazy. It's just crazy to think about the time.
Yeah,
Like
putting into retrospective that he wins his 17th or his 16th
in
in
2017.
2017, and then he gets the 17th in 2025.
Well, just realizing that like back in 2016, 2017, you basically became a part timer. Has been a part timer ever since, and that's almost
Yeah.
10 years of being a part timer. Like that's just crazy to think about. Because
Brock could never.
when I remember Cena, is he was there every single day doing that. You know, the whole Rock promo where he made fun of the Rock for being a part timer, and then he became the very thing.
What if somebody what if somebody
He did
in
the
during the
Batman
retirement
thing.
turn
He
he
did the
lived long enough to
Batman
become the
meme.
villain?
he he hated The Rock for being a part timer and not caring about the WWE, and then he did the exact same thing later.
Somebody during the retirement tour should have brought that up.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in this retirement tour that probably should have happened. That's not going to happen, but
Yeah, but a lot of things couldn't happen
yeah, they could
due
have.
to different circumstances and everything.
We could have made it work.
But that
But
is going to do it for
for
this John
Cena,
Cena this John Cena
for
retrospective.
democracy.
I hope everyone enjoyed, and I hope everyone maybe learned something about John Cena. Maybe you didn't know some of the earlier stuff of his career, or during the Super Cena run, you might have forgotten something, or you're like, oh yeah, I remember that now, and maybe you want to go back and watch it. I don't know where you'd find it, probably on Peacock, but that might be
We'll be
leaving
live.
soon, so who knows? YouTube probably is where you'd find it.
YouTube. Hey, I'm making a greatest moments thing.
Oh
I'm
yeah, nice
telling you,
plug.
a playlist. So people can watch that. It's got all the greatest moments on there.
But we just want to thank you so much for listening. Leave a comment if you enjoyed, leave a like here on Spotify, and we will catch you in the next one.
You can't see me.